and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. How we doing as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios? Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Usen over there. Had a blast last night doing Hot Stove Weekly. It was a lot of fun. And if you want to go back and check that out, we had Chad Patrick on, Brewers starting pitcher, and Sam Dykstra on from MLB Pipeline. Andrew Vaughn, first baseman for the Brewers, joined us on the last half hour of that show last night. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous going into that one. Because, you know, if you watched him do interviews during the season, it was like 3-4 word answers, and he was like just staring through people. And I was like, great. Me by myself and Andrew Vaughn. This should be fun. Dude, he was chilled, laid back, having fun, laughing. Like, again, I'm not going to toot my own horn, but it's probably the best Andrew Vaughn interview I've seen or heard to this point. As far as he was just chill. Like, he was really, really good. Like, it was a lot of fun. Chad Patrick was really good, too. I wasn't worried about Chad Patrick. Vaughn was the one I was concerned about, and he was really good. Like, I'd have him on every week on this show if we could. He was really good.
Maybe he's just one of those guys that locks in during the season where he has like that Terminator kind of mindset, and in the off season he's
just chill and is normal and relaxed and whatever else. And he was in a brand new environment, brand new city. Didn't know who he could trust one way or the other. Man. Was just trying to keep it right narrow. Didn't want to go anywhere.
Keep a job at the rate he was going in Chicago too. He just wanted to play baseball, which he wasn't doing. So
and so it was that was a lot of fun. And Sam Dykstra and I went back and forth about Gary Sanchez versus Jefferson Cuero and what they should be doing at backup catcher. So if that floats your boat, plus we talked about the minor leagues. It was a good show last night. I had a lot of fun. So again, wisportsradio.com, wisportsradio.com. If you're looking for it, where you download your favorite podcast ad, you can do that too. Just search Best Brewers Coverage. You will find Hot Stove Weekly. Today's show, Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for Wisconsin State Journal. He wrote a couple of different pieces. One on the cornerback room and another on Rashawn Gary that I thought were pretty good. So I wanted to get Paul Bretl on to talk about that, promote that a little bit as well. Rick Schlesinger, Brewers president of business operations, joins us coming up at 3:00 as tickets, single game tickets are on sale this year for the Milwaukee Brewers today. And they released their promo schedule yesterday. So we'll dive into the promo schedule. Plus, we'll talk about the TV aspect of it too that we've all been talking about. The streaming, again, I don't need the streaming app, but for those of you that are going to do the streaming app, that's a great deal, man. $99.99 for the entire season. Like that's a great deal.
I think I'm going to do it. Usually I don't get my own streaming service unless I really have to, and that is a really good deal. It'll be nice instead of having to, steal the stream from other places like I normally do, but I'll be normal. I'll be a good consumer.
Yeah. Okay. So looking forward to talking to Rick Schlesinger about that. Charlie Sounds today, 3:40. Green and Gold update at 4. And then things we missed coming up at 4:40. Got to talk about last night. Listen, if you have been listening to me, I don't want this Bucs team to win. I just absolutely have no interest, right? And it was hard not to be happy last night, even though deep down you're watching going, this win does not help anything as far as getting another star player on this roster next year through the draft. It really doesn't help much of anything at this point. But my God, the question is this, which is what I kind of brought up last night on X as well. What was the craziest part about last night's Bucs win, in your opinion, against the Magic? What was the craziest part about that game? Because there were a lot of crazy stuff going on in that game. What was the craziest thing to you as a Bucs fan watching that game last night? And so many people didn't watch it. So many people were watching the Olympics or watching something else because a lot of people have already tuned the Bucs out. Like, we're out.
I was going to say, you kind of told them to do that.
Absolutely.
Too.
Oh, I'm not saying you're wrong for tuning them out. No, don't misunderstand. Hey, I'm not criticizing you for choosing to watch, the Food Network or something.
Sports or something fun, usually.
Whatever you want. I'm not going to criticize you if you're done on the Bucs. Be done on the Bucs. All I'm saying is I'm still a Bucs fan regardless. I'm not going to sit there and watch pain and torture for 4 quarters so they're getting blown out, mind you. But I'm going to turn on and watch. And the first half of that game last night, I was here doing Hot Stove Weekly. And Charlie will tell you, if there are TVs on, I get sidetracked immediately, and then I lose focus. I'm kind of like Thunder in that way, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Easily sidetracked. So I leave the TVs off, so I don't know what's going on, and I can focus on what I'm doing. And then on top of that, last night I was riding solo, so I really had to be focused. So I really wasn't paying attention to it. So then I get done with the show at like 7 o'clock, so I go to my phone and go check to see what the score is, whatever else. Got it on the radio, going home. I get home, and I'm like, hey, got to turn on the TV. And she's like, what? I'm like, Bucks, this is crazy. So I go, boom, turn the Bucks game on right now, watch the rest of the game at home. There are so many things. First of all, let's start with Charlie's guy.
Sims gets the offensive rebound, the putback, a new career high, and a body bucket and one for Jericho.
What is going on? What has happened to Jericho Sims? What is going on with this man?
He was always the second best rebounder on the team. We knew that. He just offensively, he couldn't be consistent enough. He still isn't consistent enough. He has these games like this, but it's when they put him in the starting lineup, which you just can't afford to do on any given night with a player like that. This is a necessity type of play for the Bucks by putting him into that starting lineup. If he's not in that starting lineup, he's kind of useless, if we're going to be completely honest. So yeah, this was a fun game to watch from him last night. He's perfect from the field. He's getting the and ones. That's really cool to see. He has 11 rebounds, but this is not something to expect continuously. And I think you could probably say the same thing about a lot of these guys on this team. A lot about what this game was is something that, wow, that was fun. Okay, now we're going to get back to normal Bucks play, but you never know. They got the Thunder tonight. That could be a fun game where Jericho Sims could come out in the starting lineup again, have another double-double, and be that type of guy moving forward, which would help this Bucks team out a ton.
No question. And he's getting more minutes this month than he's gotten all year, right? He's averaging 24 and a half minutes this month.
Mm-hmm.
He played 36 minutes last night. Didn't miss a shot. 6 of 6. He had 5 free throws, hit all of those, 17 points, and 11 boards in that game. 2 games ago against Indiana, and that when he played 31 minutes, had 15 rebounds in that game. I mean, you look at his last, 5 games, 9 boards, 6 boards, 15, 6, and 11. And then assists, 2, 4, 4, 1, 2. He's getting assists, getting a couple blocks here and there, a couple steals here and there. I still don't think he's a very good offensive player. But then you hear Cam Thomas after the game going, hey, man, that dude's a lob threat. Because I love lob threats. And when Giannis comes back, we're going to do that some more too. He's all about throwing that lob pass and letting guys go up and throw it down. So if you have a guard that's trying to get him more involved offensively, that can do nothing but help the player on both
100%.
sides of the floor because now you keep him involved.
Well, and then especially with guys like Cam Thomas and Kevin Porter Jr. and even Ryan Rollins in certain games this season, those shot chucker type of guys, you need somebody who's going to be able to get offensive rebounds, and that's what he's been doing really well. When you look at those rebounding numbers, it's not just that he's getting the defensive rebounds. Bobby Portis does that enough. He's great at grabbing the other team's misses. What they're not great at is grabbing their team's misses, and that's because they usually have their big men out on the perimeter like we've been seeing throughout this Doc Rivers tenure. Even with Griffin before this, it was the same kind of deal where you just couldn't get the offensive rebounds. With a guy like Jericho Sims, you're not going to find him out on the perimeter. He's going to be in the paint. And when you have guys consistently just taking shots early in shot clocks or holding possessions between 1 to 2 players, this is the type of guy you want out there in order to back them up when they start missing shots inevitably.
Absolutely. So that was crazy to me last night. Jericho Sims game. Again, the question is, what's the craziest part about last night's Bucks win in your opinion? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250. They have the Thunder tonight. If they come out and play like this against the Thunder tonight, it's going to be pandemonium tomorrow on all the shows. Because then it's going to be, all right, now you have to turn your TVs back on. I know I told you it was okay, but now they might actually be something here going forward. If those 3 guys last night that did their thing, Sims, again, I'm not going to expect 15 rebounds a game, but if he averages like, say, 10 and 8, 12 and 8 or something like that, that's a gigantic difference from where he was. So that'd be a big bonus pop. Can he do it? We'll see. We'll see. But he played a ton of minutes. Then this dude.
Miles Turner looks it off. Chang has tied his career high with 4 threes. Now he's got a new career high. 5 3-point makes for the new kid on the Milwaukee block.
Now, again, that is Lisa Byington on the call. Her and Wesley Matthews on FanDuel Sports, Wisconsin. Didn't see that either. Didn't see that dude hitting 5 threes last night. Did not see it happening. He is long. Rivers said after the game, we finally have a big three. That's a legit big three on this team now that can play with Giannis. How long that kid is. You put his length with Giannis's length, and then Turner as well, or Jericho Sims, whatever they decide to do there. My goodness gracious. And then you look at the backcourt and seeing what they can do there, they'll have decisions to make because there was no Ryan Rollins last night. But now all of a sudden it's Kevin Porter Jr., Cam Thomas, Ryan Rollins, AJ Green. Those are your four guys that you get to shuffle in and out of that backcourt. You feel pretty good about that backcourt. Defensively, I don't know how good I feel about it. But offensively, you feel like the other three, Rollins, Porter, and Cam Thomas, all can score. AJ Green's hit and miss what he does on a given night. But the other three, you feel like, can get you 20 every night.
And that's the beauty of having all four of those guys is that you can rotate that around now. And whenever Giannis comes back this season, because he says he's coming back, no matter what the Bucks say he wants to play, that's going to be something that can help him out. And maybe if you can get two of those guys going on any given night, if you get three of those guys going, then you're winning every game that you can get all three of those guys going. I think this is a really big benefit for this Bucks team. Now, like you said, the defense still isn't there, but when you can outscore opponents, especially teams like the Orlando Magic, who just don't have that offensive power behind their game as well, you can outscore those types of opponents. I want to see this against a team that's also a really good offensive team, though. And Orlando isn't exactly that. Let's see it against some of these other high-scoring teams like the New York Knicks, like the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight, who are going to be able to put the ball in the basket at a more consistent rate, and then see how the Bucks respond when they're not leading or when they aren't in these hot streaks.
And that's the other thing, too, right? The Thunder defense is really, really good. So you're going to have to deal with that. And McCain came out last night shooting lights out. Yeah, like, what do you have, like 8 points in like 5 minutes or something crazy like that? Played really well in his first game with the Thunder after that trade with the Sixers. But again, last night, Jang, who again, nobody really knew anything about. They knew he was a lottery pick number 11 in that Boncaro draft. But 23 minutes, 17 points, 6 of 10 from 3-point range, or 5 of 8 from 3-point range, 6 of 10 overall in that game last night with 3 rebounds. 17 points in 23 minutes. That's doing some work relatively quickly there. And that's why I say he is going to be a guy, along with Cam Thomas, that they'll have decisions to make. Cam Thomas is going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and Jang is going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the year. He's only 22, right? So this is the last year of his rookie deal. So the Bucks will have a little bit more say and control over what they want to do with Jang if they want to keep him as part of this core going forward. And then what to do with Cam Thomas, I have no idea. But both those guys, 25 and younger. So you feel really good about getting two guys that legitimately might actually be contributors to this roster next year if you choose to keep them.
I just caution Bucks fans, maybe the Bucks, to not get ahead of themselves after a couple of games here.
If Jang
Gary Trent Jr. is getting DMPs now, and he was doing this at the end of the season for the Milwaukee Bucks. And he got paid in the offseason because he did this at the end of the season for the Milwaukee Bucks last year.
And I told you when they paid him, I didn't understand it. And I thought he was going to go for way more, and that didn't happen. But I was like, that's not real. I don't think he can do it for a whole season. And this is where we're at. The difference here is Trent's got more of a runway here than Jang does, right? Jang got no run with the Thunder, no consistent run. Now he's going to get some consistent run here. And all of you people out there that say, well, John Horst, he's already good. If Jang ends up being something here, then it's going to be okay. You got to give him credit for Jang on that trade. You got to give him credit for Rollins if he ends up being something. Now, again, I'm not the leader of the Ryan Rollins bandwagon necessarily, but if he ends up being a good rotation player, which bare minimum, he's a rotation player, right? Even if he's not potentially an all-star starter, he's a good rotation player.
At least a campaign, yeah. Get that type of minutes. 25 minutes every night. So you have that. That's on Horst. Jang, that's on Horst. If Cam Thomas works out to be a long-term deal and he produces and is a different type of player, that's also a Horst move. Just saying, man. Let's see. Let's see what else we got coming on here. The other guy that we got to talk about, obviously, is Cam Thomas. Before we get to Paul Bretl, we'll switch gears to the Green Bay Packers. Cam Thomas, how about this?
You better get up there. I was going to say,
how sweet it is.
I was going to say, you better get up there.
It's the Cam Thomas game as a Milwaukee Bucks.
Cam Thomas absolutely going off in that game last night. 34 points, 12 of 20 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3 on the night for him. 4 boards and a couple assists, 3 turnovers. Thomas after the game talking about, hey, man, they told me to go play. Go shoot. Don't worry about anything else. You just go do you, and don't worry about it. And that dude, they call him a walking bucket, can score against anybody in any situation. And I forgot who it was. Was it that Worldwide Rob or whatever his name is? Just pretty much said, any era, any court, anywhere, he will figure out how to score. Like, he's just going to figure out how to score. Now, the question becomes, what does he give you defensively? And can he be as good of a distributor as you've seen Porter become? To what Charlie said yesterday when we were talking about this was like, hey, man, there's games where Kevin Porter Jr. just won't shoot a ton, but he'll end up with like 10, 12 assists. Last night, Kevin Porter Jr. wasn't the star necessarily. 18 points, 10 boards, 11 assists. Now, if that can be more of what Kevin Porter Jr. is, and then Cam Thomas is off the bench, and then you get Giannis back, Charlie.
I mean, you got to be excited about that. One thing I guess I wonder with a Cam Thomas, in a game like this with the roster that was going on the court, it's really easy to tell Cam Thomas just go out there and shoot the ball. When Giannis does get healthy, if he sticks with this team through next season, that is Cam Thomas, and they add more key pieces to this roster, they start switching guys out, maybe get some other players that are bigger names. How does he do when he is the third or the fourth option in some of these games and not being told to just shoot but have to be more selective? Does that hurt his play style?
We'll talk more about Cam Thomas coming up at 3:20, about what he said after the game or what Doc Rivers said after the game. And Doc talked about him being like kind of like the ultimate sixth man, like Lou Williams was, Jamal Crawford, those type of guys, and who they were. If Cam Thomas buys into that role, the reason why this is such a big deal is throughout this season, there hasn't been a second guy where when Giannis is off the floor can maintain a scoring presence so they don't get gone on a 12 or 14-0 run. When Giannis is out hurt, they don't have that guy that can go take that scoring burden and go score every night. Now they got that guy that essentially can do this. Now when Giannis is off the floor, and even Kevin Porter Jr. is off the floor, and it's Cam Thomas, AJ Green, Jericho Sims, Jang, and find me another Pete Nance or whatever, Bobby Portis are out there, you still have your legitimate first guy that can do that. And now with Cam Thomas and Jang, both of these guys, especially if they can get Jang going to the rim more, but if they can get these two guys being aggressive to the rim, and now all of a sudden you're kicking to Nance, you're kicking to Portis, you're kicking to AJ Green on the drive, or you're going up finishing and drawing fouls. I mean, my God, they were 18 of 18. Where did they finish last night? At the free throw line. They were 24 of 24 at the line last night. They hardly ever get to the line more than the opponent. They got there more than the Magic did last night. That was another crazy part of the game last night, was how often they were getting to the free throw line. That has been a struggle for the Bucks. Rebounding, free throws, all of that has been a problem.
Well, and I think going back to a guy like Jericho Sims being in the paint as much as he is, I talked about this with Jack on Wisconsin Sports Weekend, Jack Pembroke, that is.
Saturday morning, 9 to 11.
Yes, sir. We were talking about how part of the reason Giannis, I think, wasn't getting those foul calls earlier in the season when he was driving is because there's no other threat to the paint from the Bucks. So when the refs are watching this constantly, you see that Giannis is just constantly going to the paint in order to draw those fouls. They won't give him those calls as much personally. When you have more people around you as a team that are able to draw those foul calls, if defensively you can get some of these defensive stops from players like Jericho Sims potentially, or Cam Thomas, that can help you out too, and hopefully open up the game for Giannis to where he does get more of those calls because the ref isn't constantly just watching him.
Correct, and that's what you're hoping for. Agreed. Pete and the dugout chat over there on YouTube. Bucks Nation all in on Cam Thomas as a Buck. He also says perfect compliment to Giannis, and you saw Giannis with like that weird, creepy look in his face after he hit that shot at the end. I just got a weird, man. Kind of weird. I mean, I'm happy he's having a little bit of a weird look, if we're being honest. Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal, had a couple of great pieces out there now on the cornerback room about Rashawn Gary. We'll get into both of those. Coming up next, Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen hanging out, producing the show. Wisconsin Sports wrap up each day from 5 until 6. Make sure to tune in for that. Tommy Wirtz gives you the best of the day. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. He is Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal. Follow him on X at Paul_Bretl. Paul, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
I saw multiple things on X earlier today that caught my interest, and I was like, okay, let's chit-chat about what's going on in both of these situations. You had one piece up there talking about Rashawn Gary and the dilemma or the situation that the Packers find themselves in. I think 95% of Packer fans are ready to move on from Rashawn Gary for the cap savings. Realistically, how does this play out in your mind?
Yeah, I mean, nothing right in the NFL, especially with the Packers, I think is ever a given. But moving on, I think, does seem to be, as of now, the more likely outcome of the two. And when we look at Gary's production last season, 60 pressures, 7.5 sacks, like on paper, in a vacuum, like that is fine production. That is solid production. But what's missing is that more is needed from him. And, you know, we look at Micah Parsons coming last year. That means more one-on-ones from Gary. I think the jump in production that we expected him to have, at least especially during the second half of the year, never really took place. And then in that final month of the season when the Packers are without Micah Parsons, and just in general, when you lose players to injury, you need your team captains, which Rashawn Gary is one of. You need your highest paid players, which Rashawn Gary is one of, to step up. And Jeff Hafley, you know, we asked him down the stretch last season about Gary's play, and he quickly went to his ability as a run defender, right? How well he's continued to improve. And that's great. That's important. But when you're one of the highest paid defensive ends, you're expected to affect the quarterback regularly, right? And like I said, on paper, 60 pressures is great. But when, as well, are those pressures occurring? And thinking back to Gary's season last year, at least not off the top of my head, were there many of those moments where there was a critical sack, right, in the fourth quarter of a game, or a late third down pressure that led to an errant throw? And then in those must-have-it games, like a playoff game against the Chicago Bears, you need your best players to be playing at their best. And for what it's worth, it's a one-game sample size. Among the defensive ends on the Packers roster, Rashawn Gary was third in snaps that game, behind Lucas Van Ness, behind J.J. Enagbare. So, like I said at the start, this all goes back to his production. What he gave the Packers was fine, but given his contract status, his, you know, status on this team, more is expected, you know, production-wise. And I think that's where the biggest discrepancy is right now. You look at the production and you look at where his contract is, set to be the 13th highest paid defensive end on a per year basis in the NFL, to have the 7th highest salary cap hit among defensive ends in the NFL. Like that payment, those dollar amounts versus what the Packers are getting production wise just don't align. And then that's why we're having this conversation, I think.
So what about this, Paul? I mean, if you say, okay, we're going to move on from Rashawn Gary, we're going to use the cap savings to go do something else. Okay, fine. Where do you find the next guy that can help out Micah Parsons? Because unless you know something I don't about Lucas Van Ness, there's not much faith that that's going to happen. The draft, you don't have a first-round pick. You don't have your first pick to the second and third rounds. Now, Goody claimed in his press conference at the end that they can do whatever they want in free agency. Well, they're going to have to do some maneuvering to get to that point. So how do you find that other guy? Because I think they desperately need another guy.
Yeah, they certainly do. And, you know, that's the challenging part that the Packers are in. Yes, to Goody's point, right, you can bust out the credit card and push an exorbitant amount of cap charges from this year to future years to create more space now, but that's going to hamstring what you can do in future years and reduce your flexibility. So that's kind of a little bit of the needle that he has to thread this off season, right? Is they're not going to be, at least I don't expect them to be, you know, towards the top in salary cap space. Like you said, they're without a first round pick. So with the resources you have, how do you maximize those assets to get the most? And when we look at the defensive end position, you've already invested previously a first round pick in Lucas Van Ness. You've obviously paid and deservingly so, and understandably so, a lot of money to Micah Parsons, right? So I don't know that the solution is this, you know, another major addition at that position just from a resource allocation standpoint, because you've already invested a lot in there. Like, part of this is going to have to be, now whether it happens or not, we'll see, but part of this is going to have to be Lucas Van Ness has to continue to take a step forward. Bringing back, I think, Enagbare, who's a free agent, who's not going to break the bank by any means, but someone who made some of those splash plays late in games last season. I think that can help bolster the depth, but that's going to be one of the challenges that Gutekunst's facing in terms of like specific answers, in terms of like a player in free agency or the draft. I don't have that player off the top of my head, because I do think overall the Packers will be, somewhat limited in what they can spend, especially when you look at defensive tackle, cornerback, offensive line being even more pressing positions than what defensive end might be.
Simon Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. What about the coaching staff changes? Does that give you any hope that all of a sudden guys are going to get that much better in that front seven with some changes?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hard part to answer. I know, depending on what Gannon brings in and how he, goes about trying to maximize those skill sets. I will say, when the news first came out that he was being hired, and I went back to, write my article about him and found some quotes from him during his time with the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, there were some quotes from him that it sounded just very, very similar to Jeff Hafley in terms of just what he was saying, how he wants to utilize players, things of that nature. So, that he's obviously going to have to be a big part of getting more out of that position group and this defense as a whole. And I think, for Gannon coming in and his new coaching staff, if that's me, there's two items at the top of my to-do list right now. It's one, Micah Parsons, Edgerrin Cooper, Xavier McKinney. How do I get the absolute most out of those guys? Because those are my home run hitters on defense at each of the three levels. So what do I have to do to let them go make the plays that we know they can make? The other thing is, how do I produce more negative plays? Because that's what was missing from this defense last year, and not just interceptions, but looking at the run game as well. Like, this defense did well to not give up explosive runs, but they gave up a lot of 3, 4, 5-yard carries. And we saw a lot of games last year, the Panthers, the Eagles, the Giants, the Bears, where the Packers weren't giving up explosive runs, but those teams leaned into the run game. And 4 yards is a first down that moves the chains, that eats up the clock, that keeps Jordan Love in the offense on the field. So how do you get more negative plays specifically against the run? So those are the two things that I think Gannon has to have that at the top of his to-do list when it comes to trying to hit the ground running with this new defense.
Talk with our guy, Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal. I want to get your thoughts on the cornerback room, because you have a piece on that as well. And this is another area where I try to wrap my head around where is the best avenue to go to address this. If you listen to Goody, all seems right in the world. If you listen to me, all is not right in the world. I think the draft is somewhere where I would feel comfortable going for that cornerback position this year in that second or third round, going and getting at least one. I think you could argue you could probably add 2 or 3, and I think I would be satisfied if you go in that direction. You just watch that Super Bowl. The Packers corners do not look like those that we watched in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is one of the positions at the top of the to-do list. And yes, Gutekunst spoke, as he does, right, highly about Nixon and Valentine. And even before, not last season, but even before the 2024 season, like, he has remained very bullish about this cornerback room, regardless of what the outside world thinks. And his comment about there not being wholesale changes to this position, to me, that wasn't surprising. Like, I still expect, obviously, Carrington Valentine to be on this team. I still expect Keyshawn Nixon to be on this team, but that doesn't mean that changes or some reshaping of that position group shouldn't happen. For one, the depth has to be improved. They went through most of the season last year with Bo Melton, who was taking on most of his practice reps at wide receiver still, and Kamal Haddon, who had no NFL regular season snaps under his belt until this past year, as their first cornerback options off the bench. And then by the end of the year, there's injuries, so you're relying on Shamar Bartholomew, Jalen Simpson, practice squad players. So they just need to bolster the depth. They need to bolster the numbers. But even if Gutekunst is confident, bullish in Nixon and Valentine and what they can provide, and they did do some good things last season, but you're always looking for, how do we elevate? Can we get more consistency? Like, competition has to be a part of that. Like, I don't think the Packers can go into next season, right, or going to off-season programs with, all right, these are 2 starters, and now we're just trying to find depth. Like, those 2, in my opinion, those starting spots should have to be earned through players that you add. And Gutekunst has said in previous off seasons, not necessarily about cornerback, but the roster in general, the importance of having competition, the importance of having to fight for a roster spot or playing time, because that can help elevate the play of the entire group. And so I think for the Packers, that's going to have to be, again, one of those items on the to-do list. And I haven't mentioned him yet, but kind of the wild card in all of this is, where does Nate Hobbs fall?
Well, he's got to stay healthy first.
Yep. I went through all that and didn't mention him. You know, if the Packers wanted to, they do have an out this off season with him from a salary cap standpoint. Now, my one, I guess, caution against that would be, I don't know if they have the luxury from a depth standpoint, from just where this cornerback room is at, to move on from him, because then that's another spot you have to fill. It's another starting caliber player you have to go find in free agency or the draft to try to give you that competition. So he has to stay healthy, but I don't know that moving on from him in cap savings, I just don't know how much that benefits this group, because it's already one that you have to address, even if he's on the roster.
There he is, Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal. Follow him on X at Paul_Bretl. As always, at the end, Paul, I let you promote away. Go for it.
I appreciate it, Spark. You can find all my work over at the Wisconsin State Journal. We're covering the off season right now. Free agency is on the horizon. Everything you need to know.
So when does a beat writer take their vacations? Like, when do you carve out time for you and your family to, like, get away?
That's a great question. You know, there's obviously right now it's far less than what it was. So there's, you know, you can carve out free time, but really once we get past free agency, a little bit of breathing room between the draft. And then once we get to May and June, those are more kind of the primary months where we can exhale a little bit, right?
Well, y'all deserve some time off, man. It is a long season, and the NFL has made it into a full calendar year between OTAs and mini camps and drafts and free agency and all this other stuff. And yeah, y'all deserve some time off for sure. Paul, thanks so much for coming on, man. I enjoyed it.
Thanks, Sparky. Appreciate it.
Take care. There is Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal. Follow him on X at Paul_Bretl, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that is all. Let me tell you about my fine folks over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Whether it's basketball, the Olympics, baseball is getting started here. We'll have spring training baseball games coming up here in a couple of weeks. We'll have the World Baseball Classic coming up this year, too. That's going to be a lot of fun. Then regular season baseball kicks off there at the end of March. Doesn't even wait till April. End of March, we get going. Literally, being in February right now, you literally could say opening day is next month. It's next month.
Flew by. Feels like the season just ended, which I guess it kind of did.
It's next month, folks. Opening day, American Family Field, baseball games. Tickets on sale today for the Brewers. Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations for the Brewers, join us coming up at 3 o'clock. But, hey, can you feel it? The thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating three. You know the feeling. There's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration. The only place that can do it the way they do it, at the grandest of levels, is the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action. Supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, 2 levels of that. You can always rent out that second level, too, whether it be for business lunch or some type of gathering at night. They will rent that out to you. You get your own private elevator. They can cater food up there for everybody, like buffet style. It's very cool space. And then you're literally looking right at the big wall of TVs and a big screen, I should say, 2,000 square feet screen. That's gigantic. 30 games at once you can watch. It's very cool. Fiery atmosphere, and, of course, that monster video wall. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Again, go to Potawatomi.com. I'm telling you, if you want to be there for the college basketball games next month, you better go online, start reserving those seats, because that place is going to be bonkers. So that would be my advice to you. You get to listen to the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I give you some free advice. Go and reserve your seat now. It's a nominal fee, but you can get that back in food and beverage costs. Again, Potawatomi.com. Coming up next, there is a report out of The Athletic as far as where Major League Baseball the owners would like to see this go from a cap perspective and from a floor perspective. The question becomes, does it fix baseball? If they get their way, do we as Brewer fans, and if you're fans of anybody else listening to this, does it fix the sport that most of us love? To get it back to where like, okay, now it's more of an evil level playing field. Now I feel like the Brewers can win a World Series. Does this fix it if they get to that point? It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Fiver with you. Habish, and Rotier, my fine people. That's where you go if you find yourself in need of a personal injury lawyer. This is your place, right? And for those of you that have unfortunately been in this situation, you can talk about it as much as I can because I've been in this situation, as I've talked about before, years ago, where you get into a car accident. In my case, it was a pretty horrific one. And then you're like, oh my God, now what? Car's totaled. I've got to try and figure out how I'm going to pay my medical bills and this and that and every other thing. And you're just like freaking out. Like, what now? I'm telling you, as you're listening right now, you have no idea when you will need a lawyer, right? Some of you may be listening right now and be like, Spark, I need one right now, actually. Tell me about who you got. Habish, and Rotier, man. Been around damn near 100 years, 1930. So lots and lots of people have come. Lots and lots of people have left. Same high standard the entire time. National reputation. Hometown service. Right there in your backyard. 13 different locations across the entire state of Wisconsin. Wausau, Green Bay, Appleton. If you're listening on The Game, or if you're listening on WNFL in Green Bay, if you're listening on The Fan in Milwaukee. Places all over southeastern Wisconsin right there. And they're going to treat you like you're the most important case. They're going to make you feel like you are the most important case. And that is exactly how they're going to handle the case. And that's what makes them so successful. And that's why you should put your trust in their hands to take care of you at the end of the day. Check them out today, again, at Habish.com. Habish.com. Call 800-2HABISH. 800-2HABISH. And of course, Habish, and Rotier is also the sponsor of Plead the Fifth Fridays. We'll do that every Friday at 4:20. We'll do it again coming up tomorrow. Your chance to tell somebody to shh, stop talking. You've said too much. Just shh. A lot of that tends to be Kendrick Perkins, Stephen A. Smith, and so forth. But you can nominate people on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network that you would like Charlie to single out tomorrow if you would like. Just nominate your people in at any point during the show today, and he'll go back and find the audio as long as you kind of give him an idea of where it's at and what you want. On the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line, 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. So make sure to take advantage of that and text him. Rich Schlesinger, Brewers President of Business Operation, comes up at 3 o'clock in about 11 minutes or so. Before we get to that, I want to talk about this report out of The Athletic. And the report in The Athletic states that the Major League Baseball apparently is looking for a salary cap, okay, at the top end to be about $240 million. Now, that's a lot of money. The floor target, they're talking about, could be around $160 million. The question is, would it fix baseball? The Brewers payroll normally every year is around 100 to 120 million, somewhere in that area. To give you an idea of where the Brewers are. The Dodgers are up at around like 340, 350 million. That's kind of the top end, right? And the bottom end is normally around 70 million or 60 million or somewhere in that area for Major League Baseball, which is a gigantic difference. Gigantic. So going to 240 and 160 with the ceiling on the floor, would it fix baseball? Nicolay Law Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Of course, you can stream us live on the socials, X and YouTube. Every day of the show, we are live as well there, WI Sports Radio, or you can stream this to the audio version of it at wisportsradio.com. Find all of our podcasts there, all broken up nicely into different categories by shows, by teams, all that fun stuff. So Charlie and I, before the show, when we were going to do this topic, we started looking at numbers to kind of see. And I understand that all these different players association guys, like Donald Fear has a quote out today, the little Satan, as I used to call him from back in the day when he caused them to miss the World Series and so forth. Great for the Baseball Players Association. I just personally couldn't stand him. That dude is out today saying, the owners don't really win in this either. If there's a hard salary cap and so forth. There's a lot of people saying, well, now you're taking all this money from a pie and you're just moving money from one player's pocket to another. This is what everybody's kind of got to figure out here a little bit, right? a little come to our senses. Yes, you're going to shave $120 million potentially off of the payroll of the Dodgers. No, that is not going to happen overnight. That's going to have to be some type of grandfather period over 3 years or whatever the case may be, 5 years to essentially whittle them down. And at the same point, go to a team at the bottom like the Marlins or the Pirates and some of those teams and have them raise it. But a floor at 160, folks, we're talking like 14 teams would have to raise their payroll. Like 14. And you are talking on the other end of this, like 6 or 7 teams would have to drop their payroll. So in the grand scheme of things, as far as the pool of money, you can definitely argue that there will be more money being funneled in than there is going to be being funneled out. And you can argue that the players benefit from this greatly. And if I'm on a team that stinks and has no chance, I welcome this opportunity. If I went to you, and again, the Brewers don't stink, but just think about it. If the floor is 160 and the Brewers are at, say, I don't know, I don't think they're at 120, but let's say they're at 120. They got to spend $40 million a year more in order to do this. Now, how does that open up who they can afford to sign and not sign? Now, all of a sudden, William Contreras, whose deal is up after 27, now all of a sudden you feel like, okay, we can potentially sign him to a long-term deal. Now, all of a sudden, Brandon Woodruff becomes somebody I can spend money on. Why? Because I have to spend the money. I can't be a cheapskate or whatever you want to call it, Mark. I have to spend the money. This gives smaller market teams more of a fighting chance to keep guys, Charlie.
Well, and if I'm the owners, what I do is to help myself out a little bit. So you know what? Then I want year restrictions on these contracts. I don't want these 10-year contracts. You go and do what the NFL and what the NBA does and say 5-year contracts. That's where we're going to max out at. That helps us out kind of margin our paying at least and not have to do all these extended contracts that they're doing with the deferred money and all these other things that they're currently doing in order to get past all of this paying players as much as they are. Say 5 years, $20 million a year, and then I'm done after those 5 years. I can move on from that. I think owners will buy into that kind of structure too if you were to go that route.
Got a bunch of text messages coming in as well. Randy in Greendale says, hey, Steve, I believe it would help in parity, but there's got to be increased revenue sharing for all this to happen. That's the key to it, because I can see the Brewers just living at the floor. Randy, dude, they're already getting over like $300 million. They're already there. Like we went over this months ago. They're spending like what? 40% or 30-some% of whatever they have coming in. That's what they're spending the money on at the end of the day. Coming up next, we'll get back to more of this after we talk to Rick Schlesinger. Rick Schlesinger, Brewers President of Business Operations, conveniently joins us coming up next, and I am looking forward to talking to him because tickets are on sale today. Single game tickets are on sale. The promo schedule is out, so that's next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen producing. Still to come on today's show, Charlie, sounds of the day, top clips from around the world of sports. That comes up at 3:40. Green and Gold update, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, comes up at 4. We had a couple of different mock drafts that are out there that we did not get to yesterday. We got sidetracked talking about the horrible Luke Getsy hire by the Packers. So my apologies for that, but we'll get into that today coming up at 4 o'clock. William Contreras on the Brewers avoid arbitration. We'll get into that conversation coming up at 4:20 as well. Speaking of those Milwaukee Brewers, one of my favorites, he is Rick Schlesinger, Brewers President of Business Operations, joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that is all. Rick, thanks for coming on this afternoon, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't complain. I'm in Florida, so the weather's nice and the sun is shining.
Oh, no. Are you at that age you don't remember where the Brewers play? They're in Arizona. You went to the wrong state.
Well, I wanted to go somewhere warm, and this was closer. But I'll be in Phoenix next week.
Okay, so let's talk about there's so many things going on. I don't know how you keep things straight with everything going on over what you've got. Before we get to the promo schedule, tickets are on sale today. That's the most important thing we have to talk about, Rick.
Yeah, so single game tickets went on sale today and having some great results and a lot of great games on the schedule. And obviously coming off a very successful 2025, there's a lot of excitement. And it's great to see it. It's another sign that the season is upon us. You know, pitchers and catchers reporting. The full squad reports next Tuesday. Opening day, March 26th. It's coming before you know it.
Next month. It's crazy. Baseball starts next month for real. And then, the World Baseball Classic and all this other stuff that's going on. So what about the family Sundays? I just think it's a great promotion, and you guys have upped your game again on that.
Yeah. So again, we're very, very conscious of affordability. And one of the things about Brewers baseball is we want it to be affordable. And family Sundays, you get for $85, you can get 4 tickets, 4 junior hot dogs, 4 waters, parking, and I think we included 4 chips, so 4 bags of chips. So that's a great idea for our fans to really take advantage of. And then also the first 3 Sundays of the year, if a fan buys a ticket at the terrace level, kids under 14 get a companion ticket free. So, trying to do what we can to keep it affordable. We're very conscious of budgets are tight and there's always inflation, but we don't want people to have a reason not to come. We want to give people reasons to come. And besides the fun baseball and the great experience, we want it to be not too terrible in the pocketbook.
The one nice thing Rick Schlesinger knows when he comes on this show, I'm always going to have a million ideas to throw at him, and he's always going to shake his head and go, no, Sparky. But I got another one I just came up with while you were talking, because we do a lot of stuff with the Admirals. Every Wednesday we have somebody on the Admirals talking, and they have this winning weekday promotion where if the Admirals win on a weekday and you're at this game, then you get a free ticket to the next weekday game that they have. Now, obviously, they don't have as many games in a week and so forth, but you could do a winning Wednesday matinee performance or something like that. If they went on a Wednesday, the next Wednesday home game, you get a free upper deck ticket to or something.
Yeah, I will call John Greenberg, President of the Admirals, and ask him more about it.
Yeah, you're just lying, but that's okay. I still love you nonetheless, Rick. Okay, let's talk about the TV deal and the streaming deal that you have. And we've been talking about it. I've not come across one person to this point that doesn't think this streaming deal for a regular season of $99.99 isn't a really good deal. I think it's been very well received by everybody.
Yeah, so it's the same price as last year, and we had a lot of people subscribing to the streaming service when it was through FanDuel Network. And again, it's going to be the same great product through MLB and Brewers TV. So it's just a different registration, but the same price, same high quality. In fact, baseball's got amazing technology. So we're going to see some cool drone cameras and different angles and really great graphics. So I'm really excited about the TV product. And again, if you're a traditional cable or satellite subscriber, you'll be able to watch the Brewers like you did in the past. And we're going to have at least 145 local games through these mechanisms. And then obviously the balance of games will be on, national or regional games, and whether that's on Fox or NBC or Apple or YouTube, to be determined. But the vast majority of our games easily accessible to our fans like they have in the past.
My question is, what about shoulder programming on said new TV channel that the Brewers are going to have? What is it just going to be dark when the Brewers aren't playing, or what's that going to look like?
Yeah, so we're going to have obviously a pre and post game show that, and all of the same talent will be involved in all the pre and post and regular game. But yeah, there won't be shoulder programming right now. That's something that we're probably going to look more for the next year. But this year, because we had to make the decision to go leave the FanDuel ecosystem and go with MLB Media, there's just not enough time to start thinking about shoulder programming. It doesn't mean we can't do something, but for our focus right now is to make sure that we give the best quality production for the 145 or so live games and have appropriate pre and post games. And then shoulder programming, we'll figure that out.
I'm surprised, and maybe it hasn't come up, whatever, that MLB Network just wouldn't simulcast some of their programming onto all of these regional stations with these teams already.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated because, MLB Network is already has distribution agreements with the major satellite and cable providers, and there's issues about where you can find those channels, and it's very complicated whenever you deal with TV. But yeah, I mean, I do think ultimately, if we're going to have a Brewers owned network, that we want to have ancillary programming to support it, and that's something for us to figure out. But I wanted to make sure that, again, the key thing was the quality and production value and the broad distribution of the live games for 2026. And that was my number one focal point, and I didn't want to get distracted.
No, that makes all the sense in the world to me. Rick Schlesinger, Brewers President of Business Operations, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Let's talk about the promotional schedule that was released. And the cool thing that y'all changed up this year, and that's why I just think you guys do the best job, is this bobblehead schedule and having essentially looking like the player is like a 3D version or something like that.
Baseball card ones. Yeah, awesome.
That's what I was talking about. The baseball card where it's like they're coming out of the baseball card, like the Miz one on April 11th looks sweet.
Yeah, the amazing technological combined with the cool graphics, you have a lot more opportunities to produce really cool things at a price that makes sense. So obviously, we want to make sure that the fans like it. And with Mizorowski, Contreras, Woodruff as sort of the three signature bobbleheads, I think the fans will love it. And again, all the theme nights and the giveaways, it's not only fun to watch the team and fun to be at the park, but it's also fun to come away with a little souvenir and a little token, a little memento of the experience. And these things do it.
I'm old enough to remember when there used to be a wood bat day that was pick and save, getting those wood bats. That was awesome. Play with that bat forever. I remember the baseball giveaway, and then all of the idiot fans the one year were tossing them out onto the field, and Bob Uecker was going to have a heart attack in the booth because they were throwing them onto the field. So you don't necessarily go that way, but you come back with a wiffle ball set, which I think is a pretty cool deal for the kids on April 12th.
Yeah, so, we've got some promotions geared to kids 14 and under, and the wiffle ball set will be fun. We always say that the younger the kids start to play baseball or come to a game, the more likely they're to be lifelong fans.
Yep.
And, not everybody has to be a major leaguer to love baseball. I'm proof of that. And if you get kids at a young age to where they can experience what it's like to play baseball, it turns them into fans and season seat holders and sponsors, and who knows, maybe, either a major leaguer or employee of the club, which is something we always want to do.
I have another one on here that I already had. Tommy Wirtz, who is hosting our leadoff show and hosting our Potawatomi Sportsbook Baseball postgame show with Tim Allen, already has asked off for because he plans on being at this game. And that's the game on Saturday, August 8th against the Twins for bar dice set night. Talk about how that came about.
Yeah, well, we did cribbage board giveaway.
Yes, he was all about that. Yep.
Yeah, it was such a phenomenon that we didn't expect it. And, people were reselling the cribbage board on eBay for hundreds of dollars, and there was a mass trying to get the tickets. And, it's sort of a first world problem, I guess, to complain when you have fans too excited about something. So we said, well, let's do bar dice. It's a logical companion, to a cribbage board. And we think that'll be very popular. You never know really what's gonna excite the fans. So we'll do some things that maybe look a little quirky or unconventional, and sometimes those things hit. And you're not going to bat 1,000 on every one of the giveaways, but I think there's enough variety there for avid fans, kids, seniors, anybody. And so we're excited with the schedule. And I haven't memorized it yet, but usually by this time I'm starting to memorize the dates and the giveaways. So there's a lot of them this year.
So this is the other thing that I'm kind of curious about when you get into some of these promotions. They're like, oh man, I'm kind of surprised that, we have that type of response from it. As far as if the cribbage boards were that big of a thing, does that then lead you down a path of having a massive cribbage board tournament in the off season or something like that, seeing the popularity that you maybe get from something like that?
Yeah. I mean, we certainly are thinking about how do we, activate and take the enthusiasm of the fans and convert it into another experience. So, still thinking about that kind of stuff. It's the logistics can be somewhat tricky and there's only so much bandwidth that we're able to do. But yeah, I mean, when you see the fan reaction to something that maybe we didn't expect, it's a lesson to us that, we want to be thinking outside the box, number one. Number two, how do we, build on the enthusiasm and the excitement, and not just for a one game experience, but, convert people into, a multiple game or multiple experience kind of moment. And so we'll be thinking about all that kind of stuff. But we have a lot of fun with these things, and it's great to see the reaction from fans.
I've got two more promotions I want to talk to you about. The whole promotion lineup, obviously up at the Brewers website. You can look at all of them when you're buying your single game tickets today that are now on sale as of today. Oktoberfest Alpine Hat Day on September 12th. It's a gray hat. It got like a feather coming out of it. It's a pretty cool looking hat. And I think people are going to like.
Yeah, I think, like I said, there's things that are so Wisconsin and things that sort of, embody what makes our fans so great and the interest that they have. And whether it's Oktoberfest or going out on the lakes or, just sort of tailgating, anything we do that sort of evokes the true Wisconsinite, experience and personality is going to resonate. And I think that will be a popular one.
And the last one, and again, you guys have gotten some run out of Hank the dog, obviously. The Hank the dog plushie on September 13th for kids 14 and under.
Yeah, Hank, he sort of became this iconic, world famous pup in 2014 when he wandered, into our spring training complex and sort of adopted the team. And, he had this amazing sort of connection with the fans, and we were able to raise a lot of money for the Humane Society. And it was great that he had this great experience of coming from the streets of Phoenix to the suburbs of Wisconsin and Milwaukee. And obviously he passed, but people still ask about Hank and still want to remember him. And so it's sort of appropriate memento for Hank to have a plush for the fans.
I want to get one thing cleared up on the way out here. I got a text message from the 920. I got the Brewers last year on TDS cable. Will it still be free on cable TV with this new cable channel? And obviously I believe the answer to that is yes, correct?
Yeah. So the plan is to sort of replicate and hopefully even expand the distribution. There's obviously some major cable systems in Wisconsin, but there's also a large number of sort of middle tier cable systems that maybe are very localized. And the goal for us is to try to be on as many systems as possible. Certainly at a minimum, replicate what FanDuel had last year, but opportunities to expand the distribution are key for us. I mean, we love the fact that our games are accessible and on basic cable and not on the premium tier. And every system requires a different negotiation, but we have really great people at Major League Baseball who do this for a living. And they're already out there talking to all the cable systems. And, we're not going to be in every system as much as I'd like it. We're not going to be in every streaming service as much as I'd like it, but we're going to make an effort to try to expand the distribution network.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. Did I miss promoting anything, Rick, for you on the way out here? I want to make sure you get everything out that you need to promote.
Yeah, I think you hit on some really good ones, including a few that I had not quite remembered already. So I think you know the schedule better than I do.
Well, I have it in front of me. That helps. I didn't memorize it yet. I'll have it memorized by opening day, though. I promise you that. Enjoy your time in Florida, and it's going to be fun this year. It's going to be another fun year. I know that.
I agree with you. Thank you for having me on.
Take care. There he is, Rick Schlesinger, Brewers President of Business Operations, joining us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. Charlie, do you have a favorite on this promotion schedule that you're looking forward to? You and I were looking at it yesterday.
I do like the Brandon Woodruff bobblehead, the baseball card one, because it's him batting. It's not him pitching. It's with a bat. I think that one's awesome. That's probably my favorite. The bar dice is pretty cool. I kind of want to go out for that too. But if Tommy's going to be on, I may have to be here. That's usually how that works out between the two of us.
Normally how it works. Yes.
So I'll let Tommy have that one.
Yeah.
But I do want to see in the future if they keep like this bar theme going, like what happens. I think one day next year they should do like pull tabs. And on the pull tab is a different prize for each person. So there's like the basic prize, which is just like a towel or something.
That should be fan appreciation at the end of the year.
Cool. Yeah. They could do that. All right. See, we're geniuses on this show.
But again, they could also just have bar tab machines at the park.
That's true. I would do so many pull tabs if I was if they had them at the
only
stadium.
problem with that is cashing them, right?
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a huge line of people waiting in line to essentially
they're cashless at a lot of the stands too, aren't they? So you have to go to very specific spots to get the cash.
It would have to be prizes, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
To be prizes that you would redeem in the store, or
again, everybody's a winner. You just give them like a towel.
No.
Well, if it's a giveaway, it has to be everybody's
40,000 people. I'm not having everybody be a winner. Absolutely.
You only give it to like the first 25, like they normally do.
At a bar, everybody's not a winner.
But if this is a giveaway, you can't have people be losers.
No. What I'm saying is you have a pull tab machine that's there every game. That's what I'm saying. You want to play pull tabs during the game? Go ahead. Have at it.
But
do your thing.
I guess there's got to be money in that, though. I don't want.
The Brewers will take your money. Thank you. Yes.
No, I'd rather they give us money, like in the pull tabs.
No.
If I'm getting just a towel or just an ad or just a bobblehead, I want it to be free and I want it to be a giveaway.
No. So, this is my thought on how this works. I understand you want the traditional pull tab with the money. I understand.
If you're paying for it. Yes.
Right. But what I'm saying is from a Brewers perspective of, okay, look, man, in the 2026 season, right, the grand prize, and we'll have like 10 of them and all the pull tabs all year, will be a signed Jackson Churio baseball or a signed Yelich baseball, right? That's what it's got to be. And then you'll have a bunch of the smaller prizes, a ticket voucher to a game for the rest of a weekday game for the rest of it, right? That's like the baseline. That's the bottom one. You get a free ticket to a weekday game. Because that's really what you want to sell and get people to come out and use, right? Or those weekday games. So
that would be the baseline. Pull tab be then? What would you charge for that? Like
$1?
That's it. If like the baseline prize is like a game, I mean, it's easy to win $1 on a pull tab. So like if you're using the same odds as normal pull tabs, that'd be pretty easy to win a game.
But think about this now, right? Well, I don't know. I mean, the odds, they would have to figure out the odds of it or whatever the case may be. But I'm going to make my money back from a Brewers perspective on you're paying for parking, you're paying for concessions when you come back, and all of that stuff. You're not coming back by yourself. Like, you're not rolling back. Well, I mean, some people go solo, but
unless you buy like 20 pull tabs and you get free hot dogs and stuff too out of that, then that's a genius move.
Right. But people are going to be spending that money, and not everyone's going to win, and you're going to be making that money. To me, I don't know. I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, the only thing that you would have to fight is people standing in line 12, 15, 20 deep. So you'd have to have a ton of machines.
Not if the 50-50 raffle people also add on a bag of pull tabs to their sides and are walking up and down the aisles selling pull tabs too.
Now that makes more sense. Yeah, I think that's how you do it. Instead of having machines with people standing in line, those people essentially do pull tabs, or there's a separate pull tab person in general. But them doing double duty makes sense.
They need to hire us, man.
Yeah, right. Man, it's been going on a decade with me and Rick Schlesinger. More than that, 20 years. It's not happening. It's not happening. Coming up next, we went from the Brewers, and I will go back to the Bucks. Cam Thomas last night obviously goes for 30-plus points, which was amazing. Then Doc Rivers had a comparison for him. And then the media, Eric Name and Jim Ozarski, ran to Cam Thomas and said, hey, this is what Doc thinks about you. And then Cam responded to that. We're going to discuss what Cam Thomas's role essentially looks like with this Bucks roster and then potentially going into the future if they were to re-sign him. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fiber with you. Charlie Use It over there doing his thing, wearing the famous Beans hat that he likes to wear.
It's awesome. I love it.
People think it says Bears, but
Nope.
it's Beans.
If I turn around, it has a Bush's Baked Beans logo on the back. Bush's. If you want to hit me up with a sponsor, I'll take it.
Yeah, we
If
get
you're
we get the vegetarian baked beans. We just had it
No, you
2 nights ago. We had fish sticks.
vegetarian baked
They're
beans.
so much better than the regular
What
ones.
makes baked beans good is like the bacon or like the fat that's in it that makes the baked beans.
I don't know. The Bush's
crazy.
baked beans, the vegetarian version, is my favorite version.
Fair enough,
Personally,
I guess.
everybody's got their own
I
likes and
guess.
dislikes, whatever.
There's
I'm not
one with
against-
chorizo in it. That's my favorite.
I love chorizo.
Mhm.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I would say. Okay. I got some more response back to what we were just talking about, this pull tab idea that got brought up. Patrick and Hubertus on the Nicolay Law Talk text line. Couldn't you sell pull tabs for money or prizes and the profits go to Brewers Community Foundation support like the 50-50 raffles? Yes.
Sure.
You
partner
could.
with them,
If they didn't want to just take the money, that'd be a great way to spin it for sure. No question. Let's see. I could see Charlie and Tim playing spooky spins on the concourse during the game as soon as the Brewers install VLTs. LOL. That's from Ziggy.
I don't know. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing on those. So I guess Tim could help me out with that. We could do a whole like segment. We're doing a cooking show on this station. We could do a whole like gambling segment or show with me and Tim. I think we could figure that out.
Yeah, I'm
where he
telling you.
teaches me the ropes.
Yes. I think it would be amazing. I'm still lobbying for that cooking show. All right, back to the Bucks we go. So Cam Thomas last night has an unbelievable game. And if you don't know Cam Thomas, you haven't watched Cam Thomas, this will probably not be the last 30-plus point night game that he has, right? 34 points last night, 4 of 6 from 3, 12 of 20 from the field. The cool thing about that was he was more willing to go driving to the rim than maybe he was when he was in Brooklyn, at least from the games that I saw. Not that I watched every game because I just didn't feel like he was very good at doing that consistently. Having said that, so he has that big game last night. Then we have Doc Rivers, who after the game is asked about Cam Thomas, and this is what he says.
I've had Jamal Crawford, I've had Lou Williams, and now I have Cam Thomas, and very similar. They're all different in their own ways. But, Cam wants to do right. He wants to play well. You can see that. And we're going to give him every opportunity. I mean, the guy is a natural scorer, and you can see that. Probably force 1 or 2 today where he over dribble. You live with that, and you teach that to get that out of him. But overall, he was fantastic.
That is something that I am interested to see how this plays out. Because Doc brought up something else with Kevin Porter as far as being more aggressive when he goes to the rim. Just go all the hell out and go forward and see what happens type deal and really push. Don't be so hesitant or whatever. He brought that up last night too. And now in this situation with Cam Thomas, he talks about over dribbling. They didn't really do it as much. I just wonder how much of that transformation we're going to see from where he is now with the Nets. And then by the end of the year, will there be a notable difference as far as how he plays under Doc versus how he was playing for his entire career in Brooklyn? And can Doc make him better?
That's the question. So far,
Rollins is better.
So far, Doc's role in Milwaukee, he's made Ryan Rollins better. He's worked really well with the guards. Everywhere else hasn't really taken a step for this team, so it helps that Jericho hasn't taken a step.
Jericho!
You can't do that. You can't be so down on Jericho Simpson. He has one good game, and you come all the way back on Jericho Simpson. You made me buy out of Jericho Simpson. Now you're staying bought out of Jericho Simpson.
It was definitely, we talked about what the craziest part of the game was last night. That had to be near one. I mean, it just was. Yes.
But his development on the front court players just hasn't been there. So that's why I guess I'm a little bit worried about a guy like Usman Jang compared to a Cam Thomas, because Cam Thomas has been there, done this, has scored like this before in his career, and the fact that Doc Rivers throughout his career has been able to develop these guards a lot better than he has front court players in the past. That's a good mix for Cam Thomas. Now it's about how do you take the way that you develop these guards and transition that to the rest of this team, because you're not doing that right now. Yeah, it's awesome to see that 3 guards are having breakout seasons or could potentially have breakout seasons, but then it's not resulting in winning basketball 2 out of 3 nights.
Again, you have Rondo, hell of a guard, Doc, hell of a guard, right? And then you've got Darvin Ham and Vin Baker as the other 2 guys. Vin Baker has worked with numerous bigs, and I feel like has made them better, especially Brooke. So he knows what the hell he's doing with big guys for certain at this point. Now, if they decide to keep Miles Turner going forward, how much better can Miles Turner look once, they have a full off season, know what they want him to work on, what they want him to improve on, get a training camp with him, knowing what they want him to work on and how they want to play with whatever style they're going to have and whatever the roster is next year, assuming, again, Giannis is back. Then we'll see how much better they can make Miles Turner, because Budenholzer, for whatever you want to say about him, transformed Brook Lopez's career. He went from being a guy that was around the rim, was one of the more dominant players around the rim, and then turned him into one of the best shot blockers in the league in that drop zone defense that they played. And then on top of that, played outside and got him shooting threes at a high level and really became, I'm not going to say a complete unicorn, but was somebody that had to be dealt with when he was on the floor. And that was all Bud.
You want to hear a crazy Brook Lopez stat right now for a season that's going on? Yuki Kawamura for the Chicago Bulls, 5'7", 159-pound guard, and averaging 19 minutes a game, has 4 rebounds a game. Brook Lopez, 7'1", 282 pounds, averaging about the same amount of minutes per game, is averaging 2.6 rebounds per game.
And he's never rebounded the ball.
That's just crazy, though.
Go look at his year-to-year stats. I bet you, while he was with the Bucks, he probably never averaged more than 6 rebounds a game.
I guarantee that, yeah.
He did not rebound the basketball at a high level. And the excuses always for Brook Lopez were he's going to block out and allow other guys to grab boards. Like
one
that's
season,
not his thing. 2022,
2023, he averaged 6.7 rebounds a game.
Right, but you just described how big he was, right? So he should be able to
and
do more
that was the year
that.
Where he was second in Defensive Player of the Year. Yeah.
I'm just saying. But that's just not who he is. Just like Miles Turner drives me nuts. You are as big as you are, and you don't rebound the basketball. How is it Jericho Sims can be on the floor and immediately have more of an impact rebounding the basketball than Miles Turner does, who's getting paid significantly more money than Jericho Sims?
Well, and again, they're tough rebounds. They're offensive rebounds. It's not just the defensive rebounding, which we've seen Miles Turner be able to do. We've seen Bobby Portis be able to do. It takes less effort to get a defensive rebound than it does an offensive rebound. So I don't think it's the fact that these guys can't do it. If you look at Brook Lopez's stats, before he came to Milwaukee when he was in Brooklyn, he's an average 7 rebound a night guy. Like, that's what he's doing. And then he comes to Milwaukee and changes his game up. I think that's what changes for him. For a guy like Miles Turner, you're not changing your game. You're not changing your style or anything. So it's effort is what it is. And Jericho Sims, a guy who doesn't get to play every night, a guy that gets a chance once in a blue moon to be in that starting lineup, takes that opportunity and will go out there and give you all the effort that he can.
And when you're not that offensively skilled, you're going to stay on the floor by energy and
finding
effort.
Any other way to stay on the court, man.
Correct. That exactly has to be how it is. Cam Thomas then is told by the media last night in that Bucks after that Bucks win against the Magic. Again, tonight they play the Oklahoma City Thunder. That, hey, man, Doc's comparing you to Jamal Crawford, Lou Williams. What say you?
It means a lot having that confidence early. I would say everybody knows I can score, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's the name of the game, getting buckets, scoring, but I am more than just a scorer. I feel like playmaking, drawing the defense on me, making the right plays. I feel like that's, a part of my game that gets underrated just because I score the ball so well. People don't really look at that. So, yeah, but I feel like, scoring is the name of the game, but I feel like I'm more than just a scorer at the end of the day. So I just want to keep putting that on display and just keep being myself.
He needs to understand something. Lou Williams, highly regarded as a sixth man. Highly. Jamal Crawford didn't come into the league as a guy that was going to plan on being the sixth man or whatever the case was, but developed into being a pretty good player. Now, I would never take him over Lou Williams, no chance, but became a good player. Fun fact, I was at that draft when Jamal Crawford got drafted that year. That was Kenyon Martin was the number 1 pick, the top of that draft. It was in Minneapolis. We went to the draft that year. It was a lot of fun. But when we start talking about this dude here, I think he may better score than both those guys. Yeah, if we're talking about instant offense, Lou Williams was unbelievable. Like, he could get on a heater quick. And the one thing this Bucks team simply has not had, and I think you could argue they've never had this type of scorer off the bench with Giannis, ever at any point. Yes, you've always had a great starting lineup, but you've never had instant offense where every night that dude's going to go get you a dozen off the bench. Guaranteed. The guy that you had to rely on was Bobby Portis to try and be that, but normally you want the guard to be that other guy that goes and gets you the points. the question that we're going to ask is Cam Thomas more valuable to the Bucks in the starting 5, or is he more valuable to the Bucks coming off of the bench? Whether it be now or whether it be with Giannis next year, but if we want to keep it now when Giannis comes back, I'm not touching him. Like he's going to stay coming off the bench. Rollins and KPJ are going to be in the starting lineup as is. Jeng, you give me about 5 or 6 more games of what I just saw, I may think about putting you in the lineup and sending AJ Green to the bench. And then Cam Thomas is off the bench. Bobby Portis is off the bench. And the next question then becomes what to do at that center position next to Giannis. Because then it's Jericho Sims and Miles Turner. Now, if it's going on money, clearly Miles Turner is starting. If Doc is going, I could have Cam out there with Miles Turner on that second unit to go along with whatever other players. AJ Green would be on that second unit as well. So that backcourt on that second unit would be Cam Thomas and AJ Green, Bobby Portis, Miles Turner, and then whoever that other player is. Even if you just went 9 deep in the playoffs, that's pretty good. That's pretty damn good depth of guys that you could bring off the bench and fill in. Because if KPJ, Rollins, and Giannis are scoring, and then that next wave is Cam, Turner, and Portis that can also score, and you take whatever you can get from AJ Green, you don't need Jericho Sims to necessarily be that scorer on that first unit. And then you just play the best 5 at the end of games. It could change from game to game.
I think what some people get worried about is that putting a guy like Jericho Sims out there clogs up the paint a little bit with Giannis, but also you've just never tried it. Like, if we're going to be completely honest, why not give it a shot? See what happens. Put a guy like Jericho Sims out there. In Houston, you saw them running Sengun and Steven Adams out there when Steven Adams was healthy earlier in the season. And that's not a very great spacing lineup,
right,
but it worked out because those guys were able to then control the paint for an entirety of a half if they needed to. Maybe the Bucks could try that out a little bit. Yeah, it may not work, and then you can switch it back to Miles Turner, but you've tried every other lineup possible this season, Doc. Why not try that out?
I didn't see Sims and Miles Turner playing together.
No shot.
Nobody called that I remember seeing on social media or otherwise of like, oh, yeah, this is no brainer. Why isn't Doc playing these two guys together? And now all of a sudden you look at it and go, well, damn, he may have found something here with these two. The problem is going to be is that when Giannis gets back here in 2 or 3 weeks, then you're going to have issues. De'Aaron Fox, is it De'Aaron? Who? No, it's not De'Aaron Fox. Is it De'Aaron Fox replacing Giannis? Is that who I saw? Was replacing
I have
Giannis?
to go double check.
I don't know, but Giannis is obviously not playing in the All-Star game either way. That All-Star game, my God. I hope Bobby Portis does well in the 3-point shootout. I do. I hope he plays well. Damian Lillard is playing. He hasn't played all year. Isn't that?
It is De'Aaron Fox replacing
It is De'Aaron Fox, right? So Lillard in the 3-point contest, the dunk contest, you could put those dudes pictures up everywhere and put them up anywhere you want in Wisconsin, and nobody's gonna know those dudes.
And the NBA doesn't even
no chance.
They don't even seem like proud of the dunk contest this year. I've seen them put out stuff for like the 3-point contest, put out stuff for the celebrity all-star game. They do not. I haven't seen a single post about the dunk contest, which is crazy. That's your moneymaker, man, isn't it?
It
should be at least.
It was, but nobody knows anybody in the dunk contest. Nobody. Call out the dunk contest list real quick for the All-Star game coming up here. I don't see why anybody would turn this thing on, to be honest with you. I don't. Like if they decided to eliminate the NBA All-Star weekend and essentially eliminate the NFL Pro Bowl games as well, I don't think any fans would be turned off or disappointed by any of it. They'd be like, yeah, that's fine. Go ahead. See you later. We got the MLB All-Star game still. And the NHL, obviously, what they turned their thing into has become a roaring success as well.
So the only established NBA player in it is Jackson Hayes. That should tell you about the quality of the players behind him. Next, you have rookie center for the Spurs, Carter Bryant, Kashad Johnson for the Miami Heat, and Jace Richardson for the Orlando Magic.
No, there's nothing there. Nothing. And the other thing is, there should be levels to the All-Star dunk contest. There should be size demographics of, okay, we're going to have 4 guys that are 6'9" and taller. We're going to have 4 guys that are 6'5" to 6'8", and then we're going to have 4 guys that are 6'4" and
but then you got to get 12 guys to do the dunk contest. You can't even get 4 guys to do the dunk contest.
I'm sorry,
right now.
I don't find it's very entertaining. I mean, the Dwight Howards, once in a blue moon, you'll get somebody that big, but otherwise, it's just not that entertaining seeing a guy that close to the rim trying to get up. It's far more entertaining seeing a 5'9", 5'10" guy go soaring through the air and dunking. That's what made McClung so good. If McClung was 6'10", nobody would have given a damn about him dunking the basketball because he was so small and got so high off the ground. That's what sold the dunk contest. Now you don't have those guys.
I guess, but the big guys are cool too because they just don't get off the ground nearly as much. So when one of those guys can go between the legs or go behind the back, do all this extra movement where they don't have the same kind of air time, that's insane too. You got to think about it from like the size and the difference between the gravity between those two players too. That's a big difference. That's what makes the big guys cool. What I would just like to see is it doesn't have to be Dwight Howards all the time. It can be the Aaron Gordons and Zach LaVines. Find those mid-tier players that are looking to make names for themselves, not the bottom of the barrel players looking to make names for themselves. I'm sick of that.
They've pretty much boycotted the dunk contest, have the NBA players. Hey, can you feel it? It's a thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating three. Going to be lots of those coming up next month in college basketball. You know the feeling. There's only one place to experience the raw exhilaration. Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks. They have them right there as you walk off the parking garage, for God's sakes. Cool drinks, luxury seating, all kinds. Tabletop, huge booths. I see like 8 people right there. They have their own individual, like, they look like recliners as well in the first couple of rows right there on the floor. Great food, Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen, unmatched as well. Homemade desserts and pastries, 48 beers on tap, dozen different specialty cocktails, full menu to pick from of food, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet, 30 sporting events at one time. Reserve your seats ahead of time for what's coming up next month for college basketball. I'm telling you, get your seats reserved so you're not fighting and having to stand the entire time. Get those seats reserved. Go to Potawatomi.com today. There's a nominal fee, but it goes towards your food and beverage. Again, more info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter the casino. Up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fiver with you. Charlie Usen over there, other side of the glass. Thanks for tuning in here on a Thursday. Valentine's Day coming up on Saturday. I know all the shows have been talking about that. The doctor of love, Doug Gottlieb, coach over at UW Green Bay, has given his thoughts the last couple of weeks on what you're supposed to do. Tomorrow, they're going to talk about it with Mason Crosby and Mitch Thunder Nellis and Tommy Wirtz, so they'll have advice. I'm guessing Rami, John Kuhn, and Brandon will have advice. There will be no advice on this show. So if you're looking for advice for Valentine's Day, we're not wasting a whole segment on it tomorrow, I promise.
Sparky's not a very lovey-dovey type of person, if you haven't managed to guess that yet.
No, and hugs aren't a thing. Stay away from me.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Mr. Charlie, where are we going?
All right, so first up, we're going to head over to Cleveland, where new star guard James Harden was doing his press conference yesterday and was discussing what loyalty means to him. Apparently, nothing.
It's a lot of money involved and a lot of and the whole quote-unquote loyalty thing is, I think it's overrated. You know, I think this is a business at the end of the day, and it's a lot of money involved and a lot of decisions that has to be made. You know what I mean? So, you know, like if a player isn't producing, or if you don't see him in the future, or, you know, front office, some of them have to do like a job and want to keep their job, you know, so they got to feel like they got to do what's best for, you know, to keep their job, and they trade players. Or if a guy isn't happy and he wants to be traded to somewhere else, then it's a problem. It's just so many different dynamics that go into it. This is a business at the end of the day. So, like, you know, not even just NBA, but like people that have normal jobs have those same problems. It's just not magnified. You know what I mean? So for me, it's always about like, I don't lose focus of you know, trying to compete for a championship, and then financially, you know, making sure that my family is taken care of. You know what I mean? Because I'm very smart, and I've sacrificed a lot. You know what I mean? Financially, like, which I don't get credit. I don't get talked about, but I'm fulfilled and I'm happy with it. You know, but like winning the championship, or at least having a chance to, and then financially getting paid for, you know, me being available and playing at the highest level for so long. So to answer your question, you know, this is a business at the end of the day. So I feel like players should, you know, ultimately do what's best for them, and front office does what's best for them and their owner and their organization. So, you know, it's two sides of a story.
How much money? Because he's talking about taking care of his family. I love when these guys do it. What do you think his career earnings are, Charlie?
Too much.
How much?
Mean, probably
10-time All-Star.
400 million.
Yep.
Yeah.
411.6 million just quickly on a Google search. James Harden career earnings. They're good. I think they got it.
He's okay.
How many players do you think, if you went to them in any professional sport, hockey, baseball, basketball, football, men or women, don't care, you went to him and said, look, I'll give you $100 million right now, but you're never going to win a championship. Or I'll give you $25 million, but you're going to win 3 championships.
25 million, 3 championships would be enticing,
No
but
chance.
$100 million is definitely a lot more enticing.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, we can sit here as fans. We want championships. We want championships. We want championships. Their careers are done by the time they're normally 35 or 40, and then they got to go find other work if they want to work. They don't have to, some of these guys. Some of them do because they're not as successful as James Harden. But for the most part, you have to be loyal to the dollar first and then ring chase at the end once you're set. That's normally how this works. And sometimes you can be loyal to your team and loyal to the dollar at the same time, like Giannis has done. All right, what's next?
All right, next up, we're going to head over to the Olympics, where 54-year-old Rich Ruohonen throws a stone for the U.S. curling team after waiting 30 years to make his Olympic debut.
I believe in bring Rich Ruohonen onto the ice, and that's going to be historic here. 54-year-old from White Bear Lake, Minnesota, 2-time U.S. national champ, 6-time U.S. national silver medalist, going to be the oldest American to compete at a Winter Olympics by getting into this game, Kevin. And here is Rich Ruohonen, 54 years of age, stepping in and able to make his Olympic debut. And Kevin, he was so emotional at the Olympic trials, partnered up with this team as their spare, lost at the last Olympic trials for Beijing, and pretty much thought his opportunity to get to the Olympics was over. But Danny Casper, with his health issues in recent years, they needed a spare player. He stepped in, skipped the team to some key wins, and now has this moment, as he said, he's been waiting for 30-plus years.
It's a pretty cool deal. For those of you that are talking about curling, you've never seen it. When he said throw the stone, I was like, and half the people have no idea what he's talking about. But it's curling, and it's very cool, man. 57 years old, being in the Olympics. I don't care what sport it is. It's a pretty cool feat. And I'll do it for Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Coming up next, Green and Gold updates.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome in. It is hour number 3, the 4 o'clock hour. Sparky here as we broadcast live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 5 o'clock, Wisconsin Sports wrap-up coming up with Tommy Wirtz. We'll take you on your drive home every day from 5 until 6. Looking forward to that. And, of course, the day gets started off each and every morning from 6 to 9 with Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. Make sure to tune into that tomorrow morning. Then, of course, 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Always entertaining. You never know which way they're going to go. Today, they were talking about essentially AI taking over the world and robots and all this other weird stuff that they were getting into back and forth. And I just read this long piece on AI and like the future of it and all of that. It's scary stuff, man. I'll be honest with you. I'm a little scared. A little worried.
See the latest like video one that's been coming out?
No.
It's weird, dude. It looks like it doesn't look good. So like you can still tell it's AI. I guess I can at least, but it's getting there. It's starting to look.
As far as what? What does it mean?
Well, it was like a video of like somebody put in the prompt of like make an action movie of this girl on a plane and the pilots aren't there or something. And it like put it out there, made like this whole scene of like this lady jumping up in a plane and finding the cockpit empty and everything.
Yep.
Again, like there's a bunch of stuff like the plane that wouldn't be there where it was, but it was still crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. I always complain, if you know me, because I'm not the youngest, that man, by this time, man, according to the Jetsons cartoon, we were supposed to have flying ships and like be living up in the stars, the whole deal. Like we were supposed to be there already. They have the robot nanny, the whole deal that talked and everything else. Like we were supposed to be there. We're not there. I'm still driving a car and having to fill up with gas.
Yeah, but also like the advancements we've made in just my lifetime in 24 years is insane.
Sure
like,
it is.
How much my life has advanced and the
No
things that make my life easier have advanced just nuts.
Imagine being from where I was when I was going up to where we are now. Talking about advancements. Yeah. Okay, 4 o'clock, which means we got to do this.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, now, always fun to talk some Packers. I will say we have last year, what did we call it? It was, what was our Brewers update that we called it? Oh, man, I don't even remember what it was called. Do you remember what it was called?
Too now.
But we did a Brewers segment on the show every day last year where we would talk about the Brewers in a certain segment every day. And I think we'll bring that back probably starting next week when everybody reports next week. Because, I mean, even today, like if you're on X, Todd Rosiak is interviewing everybody. And you're seeing all of this stuff come up from the clubhouse level and from the clubhouses and stuff and Brewers spring training. Murphy will start talking every day and so forth. So we're going to have to niche out somewhere where we're guaranteeing Brewers baseball. Like we do 4 o'clock green and gold update. We're going to have to do a segment guaranteed of Brewers baseball every day to kind of give everybody the latest on what's going on with the crew.
Sounds good to me. I always like hearing about that.
I don't remember what it's called. It's going to drive me nuts.
I was going to go back in our show catalog and see if I can find the title that I gave it.
Oh, man, what is it? It was something about the crew, I thought. Latest on the crew. That's simple. Latest on the crew is what we called it. So we'll come up with maybe
I feel like we can be more creative.
More creative than that. Yeah. Let's talk about the crew. That's what it was. That's what it was. Yeah. Let's talk about the crew. But again, we can come up with something fun. So we'll get into that. So every day at a certain time, maybe we'll make it 3 o'clock every day where we'll talk about the Brewers every day at 3 o'clock. And then we'll have to talk about the Packers every day at 4 o'clock kind of going forward. So Matt Schneidman of The Athletic gave a little bit of his own mock draft here as far as what might be there for the Green Bay Packers. And he did 7 rounds. 7 rounds. We haven't gotten to the combine yet. We haven't gotten to the pro workout days yet. We haven't gotten to anything. We just barely are now finding out who's invited to the combine, right? We're just finding that out now. And the combine's here in a couple of weeks. It's the end of February into the beginning of March in Indianapolis. And then we'll learn more about it at who's great, who's not. Everybody in their underwear jumping and stretching and doing all of this fun stuff, and we'll overanalyze everything that comes out of the combine.
I feel like from the Packers' perspective, though, and to Matt Schneimann's credit, what the Packers need is pretty obvious. Yeah, you don't know the players as well yet, but you know the type of players that they're looking for. So I think it makes it a little easier to do a mock draft like this, especially for a team where the needs are very on the table.
Yes, correct. So as we look at this mock draft, I don't think we really need to get into the players per se, because let's be honest, most of you probably aren't going to know who these players are. But in the second round, he's got the Packers taking a cornerback from Ohio State. In the third round, he's got the Packers taking a center from the University of Florida. In the fourth round, a tight end out of Alabama. Now, I'll go back and we'll talk about this in a second. In the fifth round, another center. You may know this one, Pat Coogan, the center at Indiana. In the fifth round, they got him taking him. In the sixth round, another cornerback from Washington. And then in the seventh round, a quarterback from Arkansas. And another seventh round pick, a kicker from Florida. Another seventh round pick, a linebacker from Utah. Okay? I mean, if you're going to take a kicker at the end of the draft, go ahead.
Sure.
I don't really care if you do that. But if we go back up here, things that will irritate me. If we get done with this draft and we take two centers with our first three picks, not going to be happy. Now, this was two centers with their first four picks, I guess it was, because it was a center in the third round and then coming back again with a center in the fifth round. I am not the biggest fan of a rookie center next year on this line. Just being honest. Not a fan necessarily. Why? Because it's a rookie. There's going to be mistakes. Doesn't mean the guy can't be a Pro Bowl center at some point in the future, but there's going to be mistakes. And I don't need Jordan Love having more issues to deal with as far as guys snapping the ball in the wrong snap count, not hearing something, and now he's moving or somebody else is screwed up. The center, I mean, Charlie, you can talk about this, but he's kind of the orchestrator of the offensive line, right? I mean, he's the guy that kind of makes sure everybody is doing what they're supposed to be doing. He's the guy that normally is making calls on the defense as to what's going on and changing protections at the line of scrimmage. To put that on a rookie on a Green Bay Packers team in which most of us look at and go, okay, if you're healthy, you should compete for a Super Bowl next year. That's where this team should be next year, if healthy. And then to put a rookie in that position, that would concern me.
It's also the least physically demanding position on the offensive line, though. And I think that's something that has helped out some other young centers come into the league on experienced teams around him, especially if you believe in your quarterback as much as the Packers say they believe in Jordan Love. A guy like Creed Humphrey in Kansas City came in as a rookie center and was able to cement that offensive line, help lead that team to a Super Bowl in his rookie year behind a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, who was able to kind of keep him ready and a veteran group of offensive linemen around him, which the Packers have. They have guys who have been in the system that know this team, know this offense, that are going to be playing out there. Yeah, they're younger than what the Chiefs were rolling out, but they have that type of players. The Baltimore Ravens with Tyler Linderbaum, a free agent right now, a guy that a lot of people feel like the Packers should at least have an eye on in free agency. When he was a rookie in Baltimore, he came in, was able to come in and be a part of that offensive line right away because Lamar Jackson was behind him and he has a good head coach. If we believe in Jordan Love as much as we say we do, and as much as the Packers say they do, then it shouldn't be a problem to bring in a rookie center and put him in that position.
Green Bay Packers, to the best of my knowledge, don't usually spend on centers in free agency. Off the top of my head, the last guy was probably Jeff Saturday, and he was toast by the time they had him. He was not the same guy as he was in Indy. That was clearly the end of his career. And I remember just absolutely chastising how bad he was. So that was probably the last guy that they signed as a free agent that was asked to go in there and start at center and go do something. For the most part, these guys that have come through here are guys that they've drafted and developed. And that's who's played center for this football team. So if you decide to go the free agent route at the center position, that would be something different for the Packers. Would I be opposed to it? Absolutely not. I'm all in. Why? Well, the NFL does it the right way. You have free agency before you get to the draft, which is how it should be done. NBA still trying to figure that part out. But now You go into this draft, now I don't got to worry about taking a center in my first 2 or 3 picks in this draft in the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th round. I got this cat in there. Again, he's older. Maybe it's a 3-year deal, whatever. But I don't have to worry about it. And now I can just plug and play. And like you said, if I have a veteran center, how much easier does life become on that offensive line if he's the one in charge of it?
Yeah, it definitely helps you out a ton, especially a player with the pedigree of a guy like Linderbaum, like we're talking about. And a 3-year deal to lock him in for that would be very helpful. Like you're saying, if you can cement that group, much like the kicker, like we were complaining about before Brandon McManus was on this Packers team, is that once you get a player like that, hopefully they can just stay in that spot for as long as possible and not get talked about once. Right now they're talking about Brandon McManus. They were talking about Elton Jenkins, who was supposed to be that player to kind of fill in and just cement that group, cement that position. Now you got to find somebody who's going to come in and do that again at that center position for sure. And then, draft that kicker in the 7th round, like we're still.
Yeah, this kicker in the 7th round. Everybody just get off of Brandon McManus. Just let the man go out there and kick, please. You can bring in competition, like Goody said, but just let him be. Now, cornerback position. We talked about that. So in this mock draft from Matt Schneidman of The Athletic, he has him taking a cornerback in round 2. And then they come back later and he takes another cornerback in round 6. Personally, now again, I don't know how he did the mock draft, right? I don't know if he did like one of those simulators on Pro Football Focus or ProFootballNetwork.com like I do all the time, and how the board was looking when he did this one mock draft. But in my mind, if I signed a center in free agency, my resources are going to the cornerback position and the big defensive tackles. That's where I would like to live. Those would be the 2 positions where I was like, okay, I want to stack up here with multiple guys on the defensive line, the big space eater guys, and multiple cornerbacks, and hopefully one of each kind of make this thing. If they come out of this draft, at the end of April with 3 defensive tackles and 2 cornerbacks, okay, hey, I'm pretty good with that. Hopefully one of the 3 ends up being some type of playmaker and can play on this line and help stop the run. That's what I want. I don't need a defensive lineman that gets 8 sacks or 10 sacks. I don't need that. I just need a defensive lineman that's like 6'5", 340. Get me that guy, put him up there, take up 2 or 3 blocks, and let Edgerrin Cooper and whoever is back there with Edgerrin Cooper run around and tackle guys. That's what I'm looking for.
That would be really helpful. And I think the biggest thing with that is you don't even need those players to be studs. You just need them to go out there and be able to do their jobs so that you're not scrambling to sign a Nazir Stackhouse type player at the midpoint of the season like we saw this year when they went out and got a bunch of undrafted free agents or guys with other teams and their practice squads to play starting position, starting caliber minutes. That's insane to be able to roll that out there. I'd rather have our own rookies going out there who have been practicing with the team all season and let them get a shot so you have that depth. That was the biggest problem for the Packers for the cornerback room and the defensive tackle room by the end of the year, is that you were rolling out Shamar Bartholomew and Nazir Stackhouse and hoping those guys would get the job done.
You'll never say that name again.
Nope.
Shamar Bartholomew.
I'm going to remember it for because it's awesome.
That's already a pull, and the season ended just a few weeks ago, and already people are like, who the hell is Shamar Bartholomew? No, Charlie's on it. He's got it. Nikolai Law talking text line. People hopping in. We didn't really ask a question during the update. We normally never do, but Matt and Madison, should the Brewers show interest in Nick Castellanos? We'll get into that and things Sparky missed coming up at 4:40. Okay, we'll answer that. We'll talk about that coming up. Habish Rotier, baby, winners. People are mad about Cam Thomas. Why? He's done nothing but lose in his career. Not like Habish Rotier. They've done nothing but win since 1930, and that's why you want them. So many of you were like, I don't want Cam Thomas. He's done nothing but lose. Well, good. Then this is the reason why you want Habish Rotier, because they do nothing but win. And in this case, when it's an injury to you or your family members and you're looking for support and help and to get what's rightfully owed to you, this is where you turn. People that you can trust, people that have been helping people for damn near 100 years, all the people that have come and gone from Habish and Rotier, and still national reputation, hometown service to go along with it, 13 locations statewide. The game in Wausau, we got you one right there. Green Bay, Appleton, WNFL, we got you one right there too. Take advantage of it. And again, you may not need it right now. Right? I mean, nobody knows, I'm going to be in a car accident today. I better call him ahead of time. Now, you have no idea. But when you get to that point, maybe it triggers in your mind like, oh, yeah, Sparky was talking about these guys. I'm going to go give them a shot. That's why we talk about it now, so you're prepared. Check them out, Habish.com. Again, 800-2HABISH, 800-242-2874. Habish and Routier, national reputation and hometown service. All right. I'm going to switch things back to the Milwaukee Brewers. William Contreras avoids arbitration with the Brewers today. I was so happy when this news came out, but it leads to a question. We'll discuss that straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Welcome back, Wisconsin Sports Daily. See Sparky Fiver with you. Charlie Hughes at other side of the glass here on a Thursday afternoon. Hope all is well in your world. Earlier in the show, Paul Bretl, Packers beat writer for the Wisconsin State Journal, joined us. We talked about Rashawn Gary and that edge room, what they're going to do with there. How much better could coaching potentially make some of these other guys not named Rashawn Gary? And we talked about the cornerback room as well. Goody's acting like everything is all fine in the world, and we debated whether that's actually true or not. And we talked with Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations for the Milwaukee Brewers at 3 o'clock. We talked with him. All of that going to be right up there at wisportsradio.com, or if you download your favorite podcast app and go back, check that out. And then, of course, it is Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up from 5 to 6 tonight, like it is every night with Tommy Wirtz, taking you home with all the best of what happened on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network from earlier today. Okay, William Contreras. This is from John Heyman. William Contreras and the Brewers settled and avoided a hearing. Here's the deal. He makes $9.4 million here in 2026. Club option for 27 at $14.5 million in 27. I believe that option for this year, the club option was like $12 million for 2026, and they bailed because they didn't want to pay him $12 million. So now you go into 26 at 9.4, so they win that deal there and pay him less than what he asked for. And now you set up a potential deal where you can bring him back for 27. And we have talked at length here previously about William Contreras' future with the Milwaukee Brewers once you get on the other side of the 26 season and start looking ahead, and whether or not he might be on the move in the offseason. Now, for the most part, the one thing that has been common with this Brewers team is they move pitchers. How many times have they really moved position players versus just letting those guys walk out the door? They let Prince Fielder walk out the door without any big deal one way or the other. Lucroy, they traded, but that's because he was disgruntled and mad, and I don't want to go through a rebuild. I want to win. He thought he was Giannis. And so they moved him, and his career was pretty much over after that. So there's not many situations to where you have a really good baseball player that the Brewers move ahead of time before they have to pay. Now, if you go way back, yes, Greg Vaughn they did it with. Sheffield was trying to hit guys in the first row at County Stadium, so they moved on from him. So, yes, back in the day with Bud Selig, there were lots of position players they didn't want to play, and they moved on from before those deals were up. It doesn't seem as prevalent with this Brewers regime here for the last 15 or so years. The difference is the Brewers were never in the playoff race, so they would always be unloading at the trade deadline, trying to build their farm system year to year. The Brewers are always in the playoff race and don't want to move on from big bats and potentially screw themselves down the stretch of a postseason run. But if they were to move on from William Contreras in said offseason, if Jefferson Cuero does what he's supposed to do this season, stays healthy and shows that he's back to being one of the top prospects in baseball, which is what I'm fully expecting to happen, hopefully. The health thing I'm still nervous about. But as far as him being that guy, if he gets back to being that guy again, it gives the Brewers some comfort in knowing, okay, yeah, we're going to go with an inexperienced catcher, but this dude can hit like Contreras and he can throw like Contreras, and we think we'll be okay at some point. The question is, with this Contreras deal and avoiding arbitration, do you think this increases his chances of staying or leaving after this season? Nicolay Law Talk text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Of course, on WI Sports Radio, streaming live on X and on YouTube. Check out all of our shorts and our videos and everything on the YouTube page, WI Sports Radio as well. All right, Charlie, what do you got?
I think this lends more to him staying. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about with the salary cap and the salary floor here. If the Brewers have to make up $60 million, which is about where they're at right now, if that floor were to come into place, I mean, paying a William Contreras $18 million a year, paying a Brandon Woodruff the $20 million a year that you're already paying him, and then finding 2 more players to give that $15 to $20 million range shouldn't be that hard. And especially if you're going to go out and sign a Gary Sanchez this season to be the backup catcher when Jefferson Cuero was supposed to be that guy, and now all of a sudden he may not be that guy if Sanchez plays well through spring training. That worries me about him too, which lends more towards signing Contreras long term.
Okay, so think about it from this perspective. So this season, 2026, okay, I pulled up Spot Track here to look at highest paid catchers in Major League Baseball going into this year. Now, William Contreras' number is already been added in at $9.4 million for this year. The top 2 catchers in baseball, money-wise, okay, Sean Murphy of Atlanta and Real Muto of Philly, who signed back late, $15 million each they're making. Again, Contreras is at 9.4. Then Alejandro Kirk of Toronto, 13.5. Cal Raleigh of Seattle at 11. Dalton Varsho at 10.75. And then Contreras at $9.4 million. So he is making more than Will Smith. He's making more than Adley Rutschman, who again dropped off, I guess, a little bit last year. So he's making more than those guys. So top 6 in pay. If you go ahead and look at what that would look like next year for Contreras, that was, what did I say that was? That's $14.5 million club option. That would put him as the 3rd highest paid catcher in 2027. Cal Raleigh's at $12 million. Contreras would be right behind Murphy and Real Muto, both at $15 million, if they were to pick up that club option.
Sounds about right to me. I'd say go ahead, pay him 5 years, $16 million. See what happens. Like, that's not insane to me. Even for a Brewers team that isn't going to spend money, make him the highest paid catcher in baseball. Because pretty soon Shea Langeliers is going to need a new contract. Pretty soon Cal Raleigh's going to need a new contract.
It won't stay long.
Like, it won't be the highest paid catcher in the league. So start now. Get ahead of it now while it's still such a cheap deal. And again, he is that good. I know we're so excited about Cuero and the rest of this farm season system coming up and playing eventually over these next few seasons. But at the same time, when you got talent at the major league level, let's not ignore it for, yes, more talent in the minor leagues, but not proven talent yet. And Cuero hasn't been able to stay on a damn field his entire career to this point. So let's see if he can stay on a field for an entire season first.
You have one coming in here on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line, which you can dial up as well. Do you think this increases William Contreras' chances of staying or leaving after this season? 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I'm the 414. I think Contreras is more likely to stay if there's a 2027 season based on the need to increase payroll. Gives another year to ease Cuero in as well. From the 262, 2 things here. Either William is average again and the Brewers don't exercise the option, or he has a crap out of the ball, wins a Gold Glove, and the $14 million option is a steal for 2027. $14 million on a catcher when you have one at the AAA level, that would be surprising to me if they went that way. Would I be mad about it? No. But it would be surprising, and I'll tell you what else will happen. If Cuero plays well, Contreras balls out, they pay Contreras and say, hey, we're in, because like we're talking about salary cap floor. So if they get the salary cap floor that they want at like 160, I think is what they're talking about in the Athletic, that means they got to go up like $40-50 million. So now they got to pay guys. So they decide, okay, we're going to pay him to help us get to that floor. Cuero then becomes a very viable trading chip, especially if he has a good year this year. Now you can add him going somewhere and get back something that you need.
Well, and catchers just become more and more valuable in the trade market as we move on here.
Yes.
Especially with the fact that the ABS system is going to come up. If you can be a catcher who can hit, you're going to be 10 times more valuable than I think you ever were before this, because the framing isn't going to matter as much now. All these other side things on the defensive side of the ball, it's going to matter about the bat. And if you have one of the best catchers in the league with a bat, which the Brewers do in William Contreras, I know he was hurt a majority of last season, but that texter called him an average season, He still had 17 home runs, 76 RBIs, and a 111 OPS plus. Like, that's 11 points better than the league average. That's a good catcher with a guy who had a broken finger the entire year. Yeah, give him a break, man.
Broken finger, everybody forgets about that. Justin in Watertown, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line here on Wisconsin Sports Daily. What's up?
Sparky, I love this contract because, one, it didn't go to arbitration, so you don't have to hurt his feelings, which is fantastic. 2, he gave us a club option, not even a player club option or anything, which tells me that he wants to here. He wants to be the guy that leads this organization to a championship, and he's giving the Brewers time to figure it out, right? So like you said, if Cuero figures it out, he's healthy, then they can trade him or they can keep him, but he's trusting the Brewers to do what's in his best interest so that if they say, hey, you know what, we're going to move on, we're going to trade you, and we're going to get something from you, and we're going to put you in a position where you can be successful, but he's giving the Brewers time to figure it out, which says a lot about him as a player. He very easily could have said, nope, give me 1 year and I'm out, and he didn't do that. He wants to be here, and I think the Brewers are agreeing that he might be a guy we want to build around.
It's going to be interesting to find out how this goes. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it, Justin. Do me a favor. I was going to look this up before in our pre-show meeting, and then I got completely sidetracked. Look up who his agent is, please. William Contreras' agent. I'm curious because to me, that will say a lot as far as, is it really likely he's going to sign an extension based on who his agent is? Because, again, Scott Boras does not do this stuff. I'll tell you that right now. He's going to walk you into free agency and go get as much money as humanly possible for his client. Now, if it's not him, then I feel maybe a little bit better as far as what this looks like and the chances of maybe extending him. But I think they've tried to talk to him before, and I just don't think there's a lot of give and take, maybe going back and forth there. Let's see here. If we go back and look at last year, Cuero last year, 216 at-bats at AAA Nashville. Remember, he was out for a portion of the year, but he had 255, 336 on base, 412 slugging, 6 homers, 44 RBIs on the year. That's in 25. You go back to 24, nothing because he was out the whole year. 23, he was at AA. In Biloxi, he had 381 plate appearances, 336 at bats, so a good sample size, a lot of games. 262, 339 on base, 440 slugging, 16 homers, 49 RBIs, 5 stolen bases on the year. I can only tell you what I've heard from people, and what I've heard from people is his bat can play as well as Contreras' bat, and it might turn out to be better than Contreras' bat when he finally finds his way at the end of the day, as far as power and everything else that goes along with it and hitting for average. And there's a big hype train around Cuero. The problem is it's been derailed for the last 2 years because he can't stay on the field, Charlie. Did we find William Contreras' agent?
He is covered by Octagon, which is
a big firm.
Yeah, big firm.
But it's not
no
Boras.
Single agent. No, not Boras.
It's not Boras. Yeah. So, okay, maybe there's a chance. Again, the high end here is $15 million. You put a club option in at 14. Now, you may have put a club option in going, I don't care what happens. We ain't picking up the club option, but it gets him to stay here at the end of the day. Or, as was brought up, you put in the club option expecting that if everything goes right for the owners, you're going to have to increase your payroll anyhow, and this gives you the best chance of keeping him for one more year. I don't know. It'll be fun to see what happens. I really like it the most for what Justin said, which is we didn't have to get into a fight. He's not going to be bitter all year because you said something stupid in an arbitration hearing, and you feel good about yourself kind of going forward. I always am a fan of avoiding arbitration if at all possible. Also a fan of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, baby. That's right. Can you feel it? It's the thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating 3. Sparky, you know the feeling. There's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration. And next month, man, oh man, day after day after day, conference tournaments, and then more tournaments after that. It's going to be sweet. Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in Supreme Space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, 2 levels of seating, great food. Potawatomi Sportsbook. Never had a bad meal there ever. It's always delicious. The desserts are on point. All kinds of specialty cocktails, 48 beers on tap. You're just not going to match it. And then a 2,000-foot screen to look at with all these different games going on at one time. And then the part that I love the most, right? I can go to a bar, whatever, and go watch a game or two or whatever. Not the same energy, not the same feeling. When you got all these people all rooting for different games and so forth, you're watching a game and all of a sudden a section of the fans starts screaming and yelling and you're like, oh, what are they looking at? What are they looking at? And your eyes shift immediately. Wow. If you're just sitting in a bar and they have on a couple of the games, A, they're probably not all into it in the bar. You have conversations going on in there. When you're at a sports book, everybody's eyes are glued to the TV and everybody is fully invested in what's going on. They're not just there to be social and talk to people and not pay attention to the game. At a bar, it's probably more background noise. At the Potawatomi Sportsbook, it's the main event. It's why you go there, is to go watch the basketball games or the football games or the baseball games or whatever the case may be. You're amongst your own, the diehard sports fans, right? Potawatomi Sportsbook, reserve your seats now to make sure you have a place to sit for whatever day it is that you want to go. There is a fee that goes with it, nominal fee, but it covers your food and beverage. You get that money back. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter the casino. Things that Sparky missed coming up next, including a question on here about Nick Castellanos and possibly the Brewers. We'll get into that all straight ahead as Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. Tommy Wirtz wraps up the day that was here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, whether it be in the morning from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Trevor and Josh weekday mornings. Always fun listening to those guys go back and forth. Got into conversation about the Olympics and something Robbie Makloff said, which I think we're going to get into tomorrow on Plead the Fifth at 4:20, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. Him talking about the Olympics and why he's not a fan of the Olympics. And I'd love to tell you this is new information to me, but I've dealt with this for 20 years with Rami, so I know exactly where we're at on this deal. But people texting in want to tell him to plead the fifth when talking about the Olympics. So we'll have that for you tomorrow on Plead the Fifth. And they got in a big conversation about it earlier today. And then 9 to noon with John Kuhn and Rami Makloff. Then it's the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, presented by Verizon from noon to 2. And then the show every day from 2 until 5. Now, let's get to what we're here for.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, time to get to things that we missed on today's show. One of which, we had a text come in from Madison. Matt in Madison said, should the Brewers show interest in Nick Castellanos? So Nick Castellanos, outfielder for the Philadelphia Phillies, apparently had a little bit of a run-in during a game last year. He put out there on social media today like a 2-page handwritten note talking about what happened about him essentially bringing a beer into the dugout during a game. Never opened it, but had it in there and was complaining about their policies and yada, 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 whatever. And it was a close game. He had been pulled out of the game and decided then to have a stance on something while the game was going on. Clearly did not make anybody happy. So now the Philadelphia Phillies, the assumption is you try to trade him and nobody wants him. He has 1 year left on his deal at $20 million. They're going to eat that and send him packing. And Dave Dombrowski, who's in Philadelphia, and Dombrowski, who has been an architect of World Series rosters in the past, Philadelphia, in Detroit. He was down with the Marlins down in Florida back in the day when they were doing their thing. He had a presser day explaining, moving on from Nick Castellanos. Brandon Snide, who produces the 9 to noon with John Kuhn show on X earlier today when this news came out, said, he's played third base. Okay, well, yes, he's technically played third base. Defensively was not all that good playing third base. It was quite a while ago as well, damn near almost 10 years, whatever it is, since he's played there at third base. My theory on all of this is I don't think if you're the Brewers, you're interested at this point, right? Because you have a DH already in Yelich. Defensively, he's not better than what you have defensively. He's not going to be better than Frelick. He's not going to be better than Garrett Mitchell if healthy. He's definitely not better than Blake Perkins at this point. Yelich and him defensively, okay, maybe have that conversation, but Yelich is your DH, so he's really not playing out there. And Churiel, by far, is at this point probably a better idea of being in the outfield than Castellanos. And regardless of that, because of how well his bat is, Churiel still wins that conversation. So now you're talking about, okay, Castellanos comes in as what? A guy that rotates between the outfield and DH and so forth. You can't even play him at first base because you got Andrew Vaughn there, who you have all your eggs in the basket of, who we had on last night on Hot Stove Weekly. I don't think Castellanos makes much sense for the Milwaukee Brewers. You know, when he's in his 20s and playing third base and is younger, more athletic, a little bit more nimble and loose and so forth, maybe we have this conversation. But now that you're so far down the road in your career, I don't think it makes much sense for the Milwaukee Brewers, Charlie.
No, I don't think so either. But if for some reason he wants to come to Milwaukee and I'm the Brewers and it's on a deal that's respectable, yeah, that's a guy I'd want in the outfield rotation. I think it's something that you at least have to look into and kind of see how much he's asking for, what kind of role he wants to look for. I think ideally, if I'm Nick Castellanos, I go back to one of my old situations that I've been a part of. Detroit is out here bringing back all their old players. I'd go back to Detroit and see if I can sneak into that outfield where they have a bunch of defensive deficiencies. And I know they have good bats in that outfield in Detroit, but you can find a role there, be able to go there. Cincinnati's been paying people a ton of money. Go out there and see if you can rejoin with Eugenio Suarez, with a guy that you spent part of your career with.
Reds make a lot of sense.
There's going to be a lot of teams that are going to be out here that are willing to make that push, at least financially, maybe not competitively, but then there will be competitive teams that are out here that are going to be looking at Nick Castellanos. The Brewers just don't have that value to them right now, A, to Nick Castellanos, and then B, Nick Castellanos doesn't have that value to them either. Yes. It just isn't a good pairing at this moment, but the Brewers should still look into it. And if for some reason he does want to come to Milwaukee, why not at least give it a try?
Other things that we missed and talk about today, Jeremy Sohan let go by the San Antonio Spurs. I saw there were some people on social media yesterday talking about, oh, yeah, bring him to Milwaukee. I haven't seen whether or not Milwaukee was one of the teams interested. According to Shams, there was 10 teams interested. He ends up going to the New York Knicks on a deal.
Why would Bucks fans are so weird. You guys don't want like random, like good players, but then Jeremy Sohan, who literally his job for the Spurs is basically to stand around and occasionally pass the ball out to other people. That's why they cut him, because they couldn't trade him, because he has no like real overall value. He's very much the definition of jack of all trade, master of none, where he can kind of go out there and do all this stuff. That doesn't help the Bucks even lose games. Again, he's just like standing out there. That's a waste of space. I'd rather have somebody that's going to come in and at least try to prove themselves, like a Cam Thomas or Usman Jang.
Right. Okay. So you're not heartbroken over not getting Jeremy Sohan. Keston Hiura, man, you want to talk about looking foolish? I was all aboard the Keston Hiura trade. Let me tell you, he was my guy at one point. I was like, literally, he was coming up in my mind. I was like, this dude's going to win a batting title possibly at some point for the Brewers. Like, he's just tearing it up as he's coming up. And yeah, he couldn't play a lick of defense, but even with that, you're like, well, the bat's so good. He'll be a DH. He'll figure this out if his bat's that good. It's the major leagues. Gone. After his rookie year, he hit well. I mean, after that, it was gone. And every stop this dude has made, he plays well at AAA. They call him up. Here you go. And it goes again. So the latest team to give Keston Hiura a shot, the LA Dodgers. Watch it work now.
That's probably a pretty good team to get a last shot with, at least.
You watch.
I thought last season when he went to Colorado, because we were following him around there too, I thought, okay, maybe that's a place you can get your bat going at the major league level. Didn't even work out in Colorado. No. I mean, this is the Dodgers basically saying, hey, we have hundreds of injuries every single year. You want to come in and play 20 games in the middle of the season for us and be in our minor leagues until then? And if I'm Keston Hiura, hell yeah, I want to do that. Give me a ring for playing 5 games in the season. Why not?
No doubt. Packer Fan Total Access Clayton on X tweeted out earlier today, according to Pro Football Focus, Leo Chanel value is projected to be at 2 years, $6 million per, while Quay Walker is projected at 3 years at $15 million. Give me Chanel if those numbers hold true. Go get your money, Quay. There is zero chance I'm paying Quay Walker $15 million a year to play for the Green Bay Packers. I'm with him, Clayton. I'd rather have Leo Chanel at 6 if that's where this actually ends up. But the spectrum on Quay Walker, again, as we've discussed, there are some that love him and there are others that are at the opposite end of the spectrum. Now, when you get to free agency, it's not rocket science. You only need one guy to fall in love with you and willing to give you the money that your agent wants. One guy. You don't need 10 bidding on you. You only need one. Find that guy, get your money, and go. It's football. Like, I don't care if it's the Browns, Quay. If somebody offers you $15 million, love Green Bay. It was fun. I got to go get this before I can't get it anymore. And he's got to go. This is a situation. We talked about loyalty earlier with James Harden's comments in Cleveland last night. This is a situation where he's got to be loyal to the money and go to the highest bidder regardless of the situation.
I mean, if I'm being completely honest, I know the Packers have given him chances to be the leader of the defense, all these different things, but it also doesn't always seem like the Packers are in love with him. Like the way some of these coaches or even Matt LaFleur talk about like a guy like Isaiah McDuffie just on this defense in the same position and how much effort he plays with. They always talk about that. And then when it's talking about Quay, it's all, well, we can get there. He has the abilities. We just got to get there. We just got to get to that next point. At some point, that's got to stop with this Packers team. And I know loyalty from a team's perspective matters a lot in the eyes of a player, but from this perspective, yeah, if he wants to go and get 15 million somewhere, deuces, dude. We'll find somebody in the draft. Tyron Hopper sitting out here had an interception in a clutch game in the playoffs. We'll give somebody else that shot. It's going to be okay because you in reality had a ceiling that we saw.
Yes, correct. I wanted to play this Cam Jones highlight from last night. I don't think we have it, though. But he hits a game winner for the Pacers last night, and they got a huge bunch of praise put on him. I don't know what he ends up being in the NBA, but because Indiana is bad and because Indiana is all beat up and hurt, he's getting some run in Indiana, the former Marquette guy. And maybe, just maybe, he's finding his niche here as far as where he fits in the league going forward.
If Cam Jones can find a job for himself in the league long term, Tyler Kolek's been playing as well as he has, and Marquette continues to take this downslide, where the odds Shaka Smart becomes an NBA head coach at some point here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know if that's something Shaka would want to do. I don't think I've ever heard anybody even ask Shaka.
Ask him
this
that,
point.
yeah.
Also, one other thing, as far as the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame finalists, two local, obviously, Doc Rivers, a Hall of Fame finalist, Marcus Johnson, Bucks analyst, named on the veteran committee as a veteran committee finalist. And he quote tweeted it last night and said, "Here we go again." Man, I get it. It's frustrating. I totally get it. But again, as I said for years, that Leroy Butler belonged in that thing, and he eventually got there. Marcus Johnson belongs in too. If you go back to that era and how good he was in that era, and a lot of y'all never saw Marcus Johnson play, nothing else, so not much you can do about it. But I'm just saying, he deserves it. Just like he deserved to have his number retired, and that took for Herb Cole to get out of the way to get that done in Milwaukee. He deserves to be in the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. Been saying that for years too. So hopefully he gets in. All right, coming up tomorrow, Eric Kratz of Foul Territory TV will join us at 3:00. He wasn't so sold on the Caleb Durbin trade. No, he wasn't. So we'll talk to him tomorrow at 3 here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Enjoy your night, Wisconsin. Have a good one. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up coming up next with Tommy Wirtz. Toodles!